Warcraft Invasion of Marvel. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 251, Lao Wang appears, Part 1. Smash. 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 Hulk picked up a large stone weighing at least half a ton. Run up, squat, use both legs to exert force, jump. Whoosh. Like a cannonball, Hulk left a deep dent in the hard ground and instantly reached a height of 200 meters. Then throw. Whoosh. With a force of hundreds of tons and a physique close to immortality, the speed at which his arms swing far exceeds the limit of human visual tracking, thus bringing an initial speed that exceeds that of a bullet. Looking at the flying stone on the screen, the Special Forces soldier in charge of the operation was in a bad state. The nerve reaction speed of a normal person is too fast to react. Fortunately, the Steel Soldier has an automated combat system. After scanning the UFO, it is determined that all weapons cannot completely destroy the opponent, so it has to activate the hand and foot thrusters while activating the chest cannon. Accelerate at full speed. Boom. In a dazzling white light, the chest cannon smashed the boulder. The broken stone hit the Steel Soldier unwaveringly, emitting green smoke. External armor damaged by 70%. Energy consumption 50%. Weapon system loss 80%. Flight stability system damaged. Arc reactor damaged. General, Air Force One must make an emergency landing immediately and be sent to Azeroth Industries for repair. The technician's report came from the headset, and General Ross couldn't help cursing. Shit. $300 million. You can't earn it in 8 lifetimes as a soldier. Well, it's just destroyed like this, equivalent to setting off a firework. Although it can be repaired, who knows how much the capitalist Director Wang will ask for repairs. According to his experience, it will cost at least tens of millions of US dollars. No, at least 50 million, or even 100 million. However, this is just the beginning. Hulk landed steadily and saw a rockery not far away. His eyes lit up. There are so many fun things. He rushed over and smashed the rockery with his body, holding several large stones of hundreds of kilograms, and jumped into the air again. Whoosh. The first stone was thrown out. Then the second and the third. The Iron Soldier, whose flight stabilization system and arc reactor were damaged, could not dodge at all, and was hit by a stone. After struggling for a few seconds, he finally fell. Looking at the Iron Soldier, who had really turned into a pile of gold titanium alloy, General Ross was not only in pain, but also in pain. The entire Iron Soldier can only be recycled as scrap metal. No matter how expensive the gold titanium alloy is, it is not worth 300 million. 20 million US dollars will be enough. The internal materials and equipment can probably be worth some money after careful selection. Hulk spent at least 200 million in this way, faster than robbing a bank. Dr. Banner, don't blame me for not liking you and not wanting my daughter to marry you. You are such a spendthrift that you can't even support my daughter. Looking at the Hulk, who was still throwing stones in the air, Ross's eyelids jumped. Retreat. All Iron Soldiers retreat. Does he need to say that? The other 4 special forces had already started to operate and issued a retreat order. However, how could it be too late? Bang, 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 bang. The stones in Hulk's arms were gone in less than 2 seconds. Before General Ross could utter the last word, Hulk's last stone had already hit the second Iron Soldier. Boom. Hulk, who landed, grinned like a child who had done something bad, as happy as he could be. Black Widow's chest rose and fell, and she quickly pulled the Quinjet up another 1,000 meters. Only then did she feel a little relieved, and she couldn't help but look at Hulk a few more times. This was not hitting the Iron Soldier. This was clearly a naughty child smashing the glass of the neighbor's house next door, and it was even more arrogant. The naughty child didn't dare to smash it in front of him, and he knew to run away after smashing it. What about Hulk? He smashed it again. In less than 5 seconds, the second Iron Soldier fell. The other 3 Iron Soldiers quickly fled in the direction of General Ross. This was probably the instinct of the soldiers. In such a dangerous situation, of course, they had to protect their own generals. Hulk landed and directly picked up several large stones and chased after him. Captain America, who was already safe in the distance, looked helpless. In fact, he wanted to chase. The problem was that he couldn't catch up. Hulk, you are a power hero, so it's fine that you can run faster than me. But you are faster than the Iron Soldier who hasn't accelerated yet. Who can I complain to? Such an awesome guy is really the product of the Super Soldier project. Why is he stronger than the original version of me? He has been upgraded? A good toy actually ran away. Hulk was really angry. His ability is quite special. The higher the anger value, the stronger the strength. He is a real warrior. General Ross, who was far away on the grass, suddenly saw a green giant monster jump up at a terrifying speed, drawing a perfect parabola in the air, and then throwing stones. When it reached the highest point of the parabola, after landing, he picked up stones from the ground and continued to jump and throw. Where did so many stones come from in the grove of Culver University? Aren't they uncomfortable? Whoosh, whoosh. The series of stones had limited accuracy. Of course, the Iron Soldier who had already run thousands of meters away was not afraid and could easily avoid them. The problem is, the place where the stones landed seemed to be the grass of the Culver University playground. There were still hundreds of soldiers on it, and our general. Start the emergency defense plan. Protect the general. The 3 surviving Iron Soldiers had to explode, and the arc reactor was turned to maximum power. In this situation, machine guns and shotguns are useless. In addition to missiles, the only weapons that can be used are laser weapons and chest cannons. The missiles were used up in the previous battle, and only the other 2 that consume the most energy can be used. The 3 Iron Soldiers raised their heads and chests at the same time, with their legs straight and their arms stretched back. At the chest, the arc reactor emitted a strong white light, which turned into an arc pulse. The 3 laser weapons on the shoulders also fired at the same time. Under the calculation of the guidance system, 9 lasers and 3 chest cannons instantly hit the stones. General Ross just breathed a sigh of relief, and the voice of the Black Widow rang in his ears. General, run. Hulk is coming. Bullshit. Seeing Hulk about to rush out of the grove, General Ross did not retreat. It's not that he is so tough, but he has figured out a truth. He can't run away. Forget it. He likes my daughter, so he shouldn't do anything to me, right? 1 second later, Hulk rushed out of the grove. Countless bullets fell on him, which made him very unhappy. Then, he saw Betty. Ha ha ha. How come the woman Banner likes is lying in the arms of another man? Banner will be angry, right? Although Banner and I are not on good terms, I can't watch him being wronged, right? There is nothing to say. Start the fight. Hulk strode and came to Betty in a blink of an eye. The ex-boyfriend holding Betty looked nervous. However, those who can be favored by Betty, the daughter of a general and a famous doctor, are not soft eggs. He put Betty on the ground, stood in front of Hulk, opened his arms, and plucked up the courage to shout, "Banner." As a result, he was slapped away by Hulk as soon as he opened his mouth. He struggled to get up from the ground, touched his chest, and was stunned. "I'm not dead. It seems that I only broke a few ribs." Banner held back. "Where is Betty, my Betty?" He looked over quickly, but found that Betty was gone. Looking further away, the green monster actually ran away with Betty in his arms. "My girlfriend was robbed again, right in front of me. Poor child on the Quinjet." Black Widow looked sympathetic. No matter who encounters such a thing, they will collapse, but that person may not be the case. He is a psychologist, and his tolerance is much stronger than that of ordinary people. Should he be able to recover? On the grass, General Ross, who was still in shock, cursed shit and shouted to the soldiers around him, "Quick, go and ask for the immortal Iron Fist." Talbot had told him before that Director Wang was willing to provide help when necessary. Director Wang is not the immortal Iron Fist. The only person who can deal with the Hulk, except God, is Director Wang. "General, the call has been made." The soldier pointed to the front. "In fact, he has arrived." General Ross looked over quickly. At the end of the grass, an orange-yellow door appeared, and a fat man wearing a white t-shirt on the upper body, jeans on the lower body, and a leather belt around his waist walked out. Chapter 252 Hulk Without Pants, Part 2. Hulk couldn't help rubbing his eyes. The orange-yellow halo looked so interesting, and a person came out of it. Could this be the legendary magic trick? Banner didn't take me to see it. Why not catch that skinny guy and let him perform for me every day? Hulk tilted his head and thought about it. He felt that he couldn't use too much force. If he killed Betty, there would be no fun. So he changed to holding Betty with his left hand and grabbing her with his right hand. After glancing at Hulk's lower body, Lao Wang sighed. Sure enough, the movies are all lies. How can there be underwear that can't be broken? Hulk doesn't actually wear pants. The world is going downhill, which is immoral. It seems that Fitz should study super elastic materials or ask Dr. Pym for help to make a pair of Pym particle underwear that can grow and shrink, and it will definitely not be broken. It's best to be made of vibranium, otherwise with Hulk's fighting strength, it will become tatters in minutes. Lao Wang raised his left hand and patted it lightly. A big hand of true energy appeared and slapped Hulk's body. Boom. The Hulk, who weighed more than half a ton, was slapped and flew out, falling 100 meters away. Seeing this scene, Captain America, who had finally emerged from the woods, had a heaving chest. Black Widow in the Quinjet opened her mouth, and Hawkeye, who was standing at the highest point of a building, widened his eyes. Of course, they couldn't see the big hand of true energy. Director Wang just waved his hand, and Hulk flew without touching him? This is unscientific. This force must be at least several tons, right? Remembering Director Fuhrer's instructions before the mission, Black Widow turned on the loudspeaker and took a deep breath. Director Wang, this operation is considered a cooperation between SHIELD and the Bureau of Divine Officials, so, woo woo woo. Before she finished speaking, her mouth was sealed by true energy. Then, Lao Wang's voice came into her ears. General Ross, Captain Rogers, let your people retreat. Leave this to me. Black Widow, I seem to have heard this somewhere before. Is there any need to hide it? Just say the Bureau of Divine Officials is handling the case, and outsiders should get out of the way. Isn't it just a fight for the boss? Who hasn't done it? You can't say that. General Ross. He suddenly doubted whether Director Wang had already arrived nearby. The reason why he showed up now is to wait for 2 out of 5 Iron Soldiers to be scrapped, so that he can sell 2 more, or collect a large amount of repair fees. If Hulk hadn't wanted to run away, he would have waited until all 5 were scrapped. Well, the situation is stronger than people, and it depends on Director Wang to deal with the Hulk. This is a good ending for him. Otherwise, he will really be in big trouble. I don't know how many favors I will have to use to settle it, and it will also affect his future career development. It's up to you. I'll just pretend I don't see it. Not only do I have to pretend I don't see it, but I have to make everyone else pretend they don't see it. He sighed, turned his head, and said to the colonel he trusted most, see if Bronsky is dead. If not, send him for treatment. Let the people from Grab College in Harlem, New York, take Dr. Stern and all the test materials and the Hulk's blood sample away immediately. Be safe and be careful of SHIELD and the Bureau of Shamans. After a hard trip, you can't get nothing at all. There is no hope here. As for Dr. Stern, SHIELD and the Bureau of Shamans must not be allowed to get ahead. Before, he asked SHIELD for help and found out that Dr. Banner, under the alias Mr. Green, contacted Dr. Samuel Stern, under the alias Mr. Blue, and asked the other party to help treat gamma poisoning and live a normal life. He also sent a lot of blood samples for this purpose. Dr. Stern seems to have made a lot of research results and invited Dr. Banner to meet and solve the problem thoroughly. He is an expert in cell biology and gamma rays and has a lot of research materials and a lot of blood samples. Those are all good things. As long as you study hard, you may be able to create a second Hulk, even the 200th Hulk. At the same time, at the Trident headquarters of S.H.I.E.L.D., the director's office, seeing the real-time image sent by Black Widow on the screen, Hill suddenly said, Sir, since Director Wang has intervened, the plan to recruit Dr. Banner may be shelved. Should we let the people from the Jebang Institute take Dr. Stern and all the experimental data and experimental materials away? Maybe we can find a way to mass produce the Hulk. Luden shook his head. General Ross has lost so much, it will not be good for us to force him into a corner. As the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., he knows General Ross's power better than anyone else. He is not just an Air Force admiral. He has a complicated relationship behind him. He has strong connections in the entire US military and government, and his PI ability is no worse than his own. There is no need to fall out with him for a not so top doctor, not so good research data and a little blood sample. If General Ross really uses his connections to deal with SHIELD, it will be very troublesome. Hill nodded and understood what the commander meant. There are only 5 people in SHIELD at Jebang Institute, and General Ross has arranged hundreds of people. It's hard to snatch them. The director is the director. He is really wise. Culver University, playground grass. Hulk was angry. He was slapped by a little guy. How could he tolerate this? Throwing the beautiful girl in his arms to the ground, Hulk clenched his fist, glared, grinned, and rushed towards Lao Wang. How can a woman be as fun as the guy opposite? How can it be as fun as a magic trick? Lao Wang stood with his hands behind his back. Looking at the Hulk rushing over, he rubbed the index and middle fingers of his left hand on the ring on his right hand. The orange-yellow portal behind him instantly enlarged, and the environment behind the portal suddenly changed from the central square of the Azeroth laboratory to the clouds over the high seas outside Sichuan. Then he dodged sideways. Looking at Hulk rushing into the portal, Lao Wang smiled slightly, waved to General Ross and Captain America, pulled Betty over with a wave of his hand, stepped back and entered the portal. The next moment, the portal disappeared. Looking at the disappearing portal, General Ross was distraught and his whole person became unwell. The Hulk is gone. Well, I knew this would happen, and I was prepared. This is not the worst outcome. But the question is, why did Director Wang take away my daughter? What does he want to do? My daughter is so much older than him. This is not appropriate. The Quinjet landed quickly, and Captain America and Hawkeye got on the plane and took off. The 3 looked at each other. This mission can't be called a success or a failure. Even if Director Wang didn't come, the 3 of us would definitely not be able to beat the Hulk. Director Fury should understand. SHIELD and the SHIELD are both subordinate organizations of the Security Council. We are one family, and there is no need to distinguish so clearly. What's yours and what's mine all belong to the Security Council. If the SHIELD gets it, it means SHIELD gets it. At worst, let Director Fury find Director Wang to make a deal. Let's go. Go home. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 253, Lao Wang, How About a Game of Hand Playing? Part 3. 200 nautical miles east of Sichuan, high seas. The Hulk, who passed through the orange portal, was stunned. What's going on? Why is there no ground? Why is there a vast blue sea under my feet? More importantly, why did I not appear on the sea surface, but appeared in the sky at an unknown height above the sea surface, with thick clouds next to me? So scary. How is it? Is the free fall comfortable, Hulk? A chuckle came from my ear. Hulk turned his head and saw that the abominable little guy was right next to him, no more than 10 meters away, holding Banner's girlfriend in his arms. No, I have to get it back. Hulk was angry and rushed over immediately. He kicked his feet hard and stretched out his hand to grab it. Then, the distance was still 10 meters. Only the whistling wind in his ears proved that he was actually moving all the time, but not horizontally but vertically. This is in the air, Hulk. How can you hit me without a leverage point? Lao Wang smiled. How about, let's talk? Hulk snorted and turned his head. You are bad. I don't want to talk to you. If you fall, you will fall. You will not die, no matter how high you fall. I will settle the score with you later. An altitude of about 3,000 meters is nothing. According to the law of free fall, it should take only a few minutes. Hulk scratched his head, saying that it was too difficult, and he could not calculate it. It doesn't matter. It should only take a few minutes. Hey, the scenery is nice when looking down from such a high place. Hulk's attention was suddenly attracted. The blue sky, white clouds, blue sea, and occasionally orange-yellow light circles are really beautiful. Lao Wang didn't care and watched beside him holding Betty. 1 minute passed. 10 minutes passed. Half an hour passed. Hulk finally came back to his senses and found that there were clouds everywhere. Why didn't he fall into the sea after so long? 20 seconds later, he saw a huge orange-yellow light circle appear on the sea below. Then he fell into the light circle, appeared in the higher sky. This is not scientific. Wang, isn't this too much? Hulk is still young, only 5 years old, and still an ignorant child. He has never been to school. Sky appeared next to Lao Wang at some point, with Betty lying unconscious next to him. There was a cloud of auspiciousness under their feet, floating in the air, leisurely. It seemed so. Lao Wang was a little embarrassed. It was not good to tease others like this. The Hulk was very powerful, but his shortcomings were too obvious. In fact, let alone Lao Wang, if he really took the initiative, any magician in Kamitachi who was more skilled in opening doors could play Hulk around. He stretched out his hand and a cloud of auspiciousness appeared under Hulk, supporting his body and bringing him to his side. Hey, can I use the force? Hulk's eyes lit up, and he squatted down quickly, wanting to jump over and beat that hateful guy. Suddenly, his feet were empty, and the cloud of auspiciousness disappeared. After 10 seconds, the cloud of auspiciousness reappeared and brought Hulk in front of Lao Wang. Do you accept it? Hulk. I don't accept it. He roared. He learned his lesson and knew that it was useless to get angry, so he simply didn't jump, staring at Lao Wang with a pair of green eyes. Lao Wang smiled. Then how can you obey? Hulk snorted. Hulk, fight. Lao Wang smiled and nodded. Okay, let's go back to the ground and fight. But let's make a deal first. If I beat you, you have to listen to me in the future and do whatever I tell you to do. Hulk nodded heavily. Okay. Sky couldn't help but turn his head away. Wang, is it fun for an adult like you to bully a 5-year-old child? Do you feel a sense of accomplishment? Lao Wang rubbed Sky's hair. This is quite interesting and very fulfilling. The Hulk is at the level of a god on Earth. His strength is second only to Thor, the god of thunder, and his physique is no less than that of the gods of the wilderness in World of Warcraft. It is likely that he is at the level of Tortala, the turtle demigod, and is super durable. When you meet such a good opponent, how can you not fight and have fun? The most important thing is, Hulk is young and simple-minded. He is not Dr. Banner. He likes fighting. If he wants to improve his favorability, fighting is the best way. Only by beating him can he be obedient. Let's go. I have a good place to go. Lao Wang opened the door again, and the four of them came to an isolated island in the Atlantic Ocean. This is a veritable no man's land. No matter how much they fight, they will not be discovered by the outside world. It is the most suitable place. You, don't run. Hulk moved his body, thinking of the little shield guy with big breasts and a perky, but who would run away if he didn't fight. His eyes rolled, clenched his fists, and swung them fiercely. Hulk, strength. This guy's not stupid. Lao Wang nodded. Okay, let's fight with strength. He clenched his fists with both hands and mobilized his whole body's true energy. It didn't say physical strength. The true energy bonus also counts. Otherwise, I really can't beat him. The two quickly collided with each other. Bang! Hulk stood still, and Lao Wang flew backwards for dozens of meters. Weak chicken arms. Hulk laughed. Puff. Sky couldn't help laughing, and Erica's voice came from the headset. Sky, don't shake. I can't see clearly. Sky quickly took out her mobile phone and aimed the camera at the battlefield. She was actually live streaming. A lot of barrages came. Jade Emperor, the all-powerful Grandmaster Wang, got beaten. Ghost Rider, I don't know why, but when I saw him get beaten, I suddenly felt so good. It turns out that the immortal Iron Fist can also get beaten. Black Sky, Robbie, you're done. I'm going to tell the boss. Ghost Rider, I didn't say that. It was the Spirit of Vengeance who said that. Boss, beat him up. Don't beat me. Ghost Rider's brother, it was pretty good actually. I'm Gabe. Ghost Rider's brother, I didn't say the last sentence. It was Peter who stole my phone. Boss, don't blame me. Simmons, Sky won't tell. Will she worried? Fitz, she's the one who runs the live broadcast. She definitely won't. Otherwise the boss will definitely beat her up snickering. Simmons, that's right. Wiping sweat. Whiplash. Hulk. He looks as strong as Mihawk. Sky pursed her lips and smiled. This is a safe route. Only he can see it. Lao Wang doesn't have many embarrassing things, so saving one is also a fun thing. If you dare to bully me again one day, humph. Getting up from the ground, Lao Wang wiped his mouth. Aha, you looked young, so I held back just now, but I won't do that now. Come again if you dare. Bang, Lao Wang flew out. Bang, Lao Wang flew out again. Bang, Hulk flew out. The two men punched each other. One relied on brute force, the other used true ki. Both had hundreds of tons of strength and were evenly matched. Even the earth was shaking, and deep pits appeared on the ground one after another. The animals fled, thinking that there was an earthquake. An hour later, Lao Wang pressed Hulk to the ground again, panting heavily, and beads of sweat dripped on Hulk's face. Are you convinced? Hulk turned his head. Humph. It was impossible for him to be convinced, and it would never be possible in this life, but he did recognize him. Fighting with Wang, it was cool. Lao Wang stretched out his hand to pull Hulk up, and rubbed his sore arm. He is worthy of being the Hulk. If it weren't for the fact that the Hulk's rage value had been reduced after fighting for such a long time, and if I hadn't been using my true energy to influence him and help him relieve his emotions, I wouldn't necessarily be able to win by just fighting head on. Normally, the Hulk has a strength of 100 tons. As his rage value increases, his strength becomes stronger and stronger. At his peak, it's more than 1,000 tons. This guy is typical of the more he fights, the braver he becomes. Unless he has the absolute crushing power of Thanos, he can't be killed or defeated at all. He's a real pervert. Be good, the sun is setting, let me talk to Banner. Lao Wang exudes a natural and peaceful atmosphere, which makes Hulk's mind fall into an absolutely relaxed state. It's really easy to deal with the Hulk. Lao Wang has at least 27 ways to deal with him. Of course, he can only defeat him, but not kill him. At least he can't kill him in a conventional way. This guy's not only thick-skinned and tough, but also can see spirits, absorb radiation, survive in various extreme environments, and resist extremely high levels of mind control. His biggest weakness is that he can't fly. I don't want to. Hulk muttered, staggered to the ground, and shrank into Banner, naked. Strange, the transformation and enlargement don't seem to be proportional. Lao Wang glanced at it, muttered, and took out a set of clothes from the Heart of Azeroth, and threw it over. Dr. Banner woke up at this time, seeing that there was a girl next to him who seemed to be taking pictures or recording videos. His old face blushed, and he quickly turned his back to put on clothes. In his transformed state, his consciousness was sleeping in his body, but there was still a part of Hulk's memory. Consciousness coexisted. Instead of later as Hulk continued to grow up, Banner's consciousness was locked in a small dark room. This director Wang is not ordinary powerful. It is too easy for him to tease himself. Even a head-on collision can compete with Hulk. It seems to be related to some godlike bureau. What is it? Hulk is a 5-year-old problem child. He is a highly intelligent talent of a certain age. He holds 7 doctoral degrees and has been on the run from the Air Force for 5 years. His emotional intelligence is not low. He knows that the other party must have some requirements, and Betty is still in his hands. After getting dressed, he walked in front of Lao Wang and stretched out his right hand. Bruce Banner, a fugitive. Lao Wang also stretched out his hand. Director of the General Bureau of Strategic Defense, Offensive and Multidimensional Strategic Cooperation of Extraterrestrial Threats. Director of the Bureau of Divine Sticks for short. My last name is Wang. Dr. Banner, what? Do the series of English acronyms you just mentioned have anything to do with sticks? How did you come up with the abbreviations? It doesn't matter. Lao Wang pointed to Betty, who was still lying on the ground. This is not a place to talk. How about going to my house? Okay. The current Banner is not the future middle school Banner. Years of escape and torture in all aspects have made him nervous, and he is more serious and wary of everyone. But Hulk seems to like this guy in front of him. Is it because he feels good after being beaten and has a tendency to be masochistic? Leave her to me. Of course, it is more appropriate to hug your own girlfriend yourself. So who gets out of here? Lao Wang opened the door, and several people soon came to the Azeroth laboratory. Banner's eyes lit up. Thanks to King Feng Xianyang for the 2000 reward. Chapter 254 Hulk is not a problem. Part 1. Scientists' preferences are different from those of ordinary people. When Banner saw the Azeroth laboratory, which was 10 blocks ahead of the Air Force Gamma Ray laboratory and the high-tech experimental equipment that he hadn't seen in 5 years, he instantly felt itchy and wanted to go over and touch it a few times to satisfy his desire. "Come with me, Dr. Banner." Lao Wang went directly to the biochemistry laboratory and introduced Simmons, who couldn't wait any longer. "Simmons, this is Drive Bruce Banner, the holder of 7 doctoral degrees, has outstanding achievements in more than a dozen fields including nuclear physics, high-energy physics, quantum mechanics, artificial intelligence, cell biology, genetics, bioengineering, space theory, mathematics, chemistry, etc. 5 years ago, he also presided over the Super Soldier program in charge of General Ross." Before Lao Wang finished speaking, Simmons' eyes lit up, as if he had seen an idol he had admired for a long time. "I think you are worth at least 20 doctoral degrees." A doctoral degree is meaningless. The girl was too enthusiastic, and Dr. Banner was obviously a little overwhelmed, and asked quickly, "Excuse me, what's your name?" "Gemma Simmons, a student who is eager to learn from you." Simmons hurriedly introduced himself, as well behaved as possible. Banner hurriedly looked at Lao Wang. "Director Wang, what's going on? Who is she?" "I have a girlfriend. She is the best student in the history of the Shield Academy. She received 2 doctoral degrees in biology and chemistry at the age of 17. Like you, she is a degree collector." Lao Wang introduced with a smile. "She is also the director of the biochemistry laboratory. She is currently responsible for the research of super soldier projects, limb regeneration, human resurrection, Azeroth flora and fauna research, deep human enhancement and other topics." Banner blinked. "Wait. Director Wang restarted the super soldier project? Limb regeneration is fine, but human resurrection, is this possible? What is Azeroth? A deserted island in the Pacific Ocean, or a specific area in the Amazon rainforest? When did human enhancement reach the deep level? Dr. Erkin's formula has not been restored yet." Dr. Banner was a little confused. "I have only been out of touch with the scientific community for 5 years, and I have kept in touch with several scientists such as Mr. Lan. I also pay attention to nature and science. Why do I feel like I have been out of touch for 100 years? Simmons will tell you about these later." Seeing Banner's interest, Lao Wang was very happy. It's good to be interested. Interest is the best bait. You don't have to worry about not taking the bait. "Now let's discuss another thing," Lao Wang said with a smile. "I heard that you have always wanted to cure gamma ray radiation." Speaking of sad things, Banner's face turned ugly. He had to leave his beloved woman and beloved scientific research. The good scientist became a fugitive and killed many people during the escape. This made him feel guilty and painful. Every second was torture. When he was emotional, he would turn into the Hulk. He couldn't even be intimate with his girlfriend. What's the meaning of life? There is no passion and motivation to survive. If it weren't for his strong will, someone else might have given up on himself and turned into the most terrible supercriminal in the world's history, or tried to commit suicide. "So, how is the research going?" Lao Wang asked. Banner suddenly alerted. His eyes turned green. "This person really wants to steal my research results just like SHIELD and General Ross. Don't get me wrong, relax." Lao Wang released a natural and peaceful atmosphere to help Banner calm down, and then said, "SHIELD is responsible for dealing with mysterious events and dangerous element with high threat levels. There is also a special list of people with special abilities. I suspect you are ranked 2nd, but this is not the responsibility of the SHIELD. Director Fury will deal with you, but I won't." And he turned his head and glanced at Sky. Sky nodded, took out the remote control and pressed it. A large number of electronic files immediately appeared on the LCD wall of the laboratory, switching at a relatively slow speed. Banner's pupils dilated, and his breathing became rapid. This is all the research data of the Gamma Ray laboratory back then. No, more than that. There is also research data on his own blood, signed by Samuel Stern. "Mr. Lan, look, I have all the information." Lao Wang spread his hands and shrugged. "I can tell you clearly that Dr. Stern's research can only temporarily suppress your gamma poisoning, but there is no way to eradicate it. Your gamma radiation comes from the amygdala in your brain, and he can't understand it. I think you know better than me that there is no point in suppressing it. Banner was silent. It really is meaningless. He had done an experiment before, using a very special herbal preparation to neutralize the gamma rays in his blood. It was indeed successful, but after just a few seconds, the blood that had been dyed red turned green again. The most healthy cells in the human body are cancer cells, but one's own cells are hundreds and thousands of times healthier than cancer cells, and even cannot be eliminated. Suppressing is fun for a while, and it's fun to suppress it all the time, and then it's fun to die in the crematorium. Of course you can continue Dr. Stern's experiment. You are the top expert in gamma rays, and your girlfriend, Dr. Betty Ross, is the top expert in cell biology. Lao Wang said, you once joined forces to restart the Super Soldier project, and the Super Soldier serum you developed is close to success. Maybe you can really deal with gamma poisoning. Banner's eyes lit up, and then dimmed. It is indeed possible. If he hadn't had to, he wouldn't have gone to Dr. Stern. That guy is at most world class, not to mention the top. The problem is that any scientific research requires a lot of financial support, not to mention it is related to gamma rays and cell biology. The former belongs to the field of nuclear physics, and the latter belongs to life sciences. They are all famous expensive subjects. The old experimental equipment at the Air Force Base has cost hundreds of millions of dollars, but the results are not ideal. If you want to really solve your own problems, you need at least 10 times the research funds. No money. You can't sell blood, right? Money is not a problem. Lao Wang smiled and said, as long as you are willing to join the Azeroth laboratory, you can get as much research funds as you want, and you can get any equipment you want. I'm not afraid of your requests. I'm afraid you don't ask. Banner remained silent. Of course he believed this. The other party definitely didn't bring him here to cause trouble for SHIELD and General Ross. Either they were attracted by Hulk's combat power, or they were attracted by their own scientific research ability. The former is not very meaningful, and Hulk can't beat the guy in front of him, so it's the latter. Anyway, I have nowhere to go, otherwise. Stay. In fact, there is another choice. Lao Wang said, the reason why you want to solve the gamma poisoning is nothing more than because the gamma poisoning has brought you pain and inconvenience, and Hulk has become your lingering nightmare and trouble, right? Banner nodded. Is there any need to ask? That's easy. Lao Wang raised his eyebrows. As long as Hulk is not a trouble, isn't it alright? Hulk is not a trouble? How can Hulk not be a trouble? Banner looked at the young man in front of him who was downplaying it, thinking that he was indeed too young and too simple. If Hulk is not a trouble, who else in the world is a trouble? Tony Stark. There are actually only a few troubles that Hulk has brought to you. Lao Wang held up a finger. First, he made you a fugitive, and you can't continue your beloved scientific research. Banner nodded. For scientists, scientific research always comes first. Lao Wang held up a second finger. Second, as long as you have emotional fluctuations, you will turn into Hulk. Hulk is more easily angered than you, and he is also a bear child, prone to trouble, and even murder. Banner nodded again. He is just a scientist, not a good person, and doesn't want to become a bad person. For any ordinary person, killing has exceeded the bottom line, and cannot be tolerated. Lao Wang held up a third finger. It is also because it is easy to turn into Hulk that you can't live a normal life, and you can't even give your girlfriend the pleasure of women, right? Banner nodded again. How can a man be a man if he can't do it? Let's solve them one by one. Lao Wang said with a smile. I can help you get rid of the wanted list, and I can also provide the best laboratories and research topics, and I guarantee that no one will bother you. Banner was silent. You just said this. The second and third questions are ultimately emotional problems. Lao Wang inserted two fingers in succession. As long as I help you find a way to control your emotions, so that you can live in peace with the Hulk, and you can switch freely between Dr. Banner and the Hulk at any time. Isn't that enough? Chapter 255. Let's have a baby. Second update. Banner suddenly found that Director Wang always spoke lightly, as if everything in the world was simple. This person's thinking is even simpler than that of scientists. Such people either have real skills or are just grandstanding. If it weren't for the fact that you are rich and powerful and your fists are bigger than mine, I really don't want to pay attention to you. I have learned how to control emotions in India, Brazil, and many other places. Banner patiently explained. I have found world-renowned psychologists and masters who are best at controlling emotions. Without anyone deliberately provoking me, I have not transformed for 5 months. But I don't want a long time, but forever. And he sighed in his heart. Once you transform, you can't control it. This is the problem. That's because you didn't find the right place or the right person. Lao Wang smiled. I think no one in this world knows how to control emotions better than me. Every panda and monk is a master of controlling emotions. They are usually kind-hearted like great monks, but once someone grabs a drink, they will immediately turn into angry King Kong, letting the other party enjoy the pleasure of being beaten by the human world and reach the peak of life and the stimulation of ice and fire. From cute to cruel, and then from cruel to cute, the panda people's control over emotions far exceeds that of all other races. It is not easy to live in a place where the 7 evil spirits are entrenched for tens of thousands of years. It is even more extraordinary that Lao Wang can get rid of the 7 evil spirits and destroy them. He naturally exudes a peaceful atmosphere and forcibly pulls the other party into the sage time. Dr. Banner then realizes, although the other party's words are a bit annoying, he is still not angry, and even his heartbeat is not accelerated. He feels that the whole world is so beautiful, why should I be irritable? That is really not good, not good. Women are meaningless, anger is meaningless, desire is meaningless, all the ins and outs are meaningless, even science is meaningless. My pursuit is the supreme way. It is a higher level that transcends all low-level interests. Now even if Director Wang slaps me, I don't think I will be so angry that I will transform. It's okay to slap 100 times. It turns out that I have been influenced by him unconsciously. This alone is better than any psychologist or master of practice. Maybe it's really possible. Do both, and both hands must be strong. Lao Wang gave advice again. I will give you the best research environment, let you continue related research, and teach you how to control your emotions, teach you how to get along with Hulk. Don't treat it as an enemy or a trouble, but treat it as a child. I can see that you don't have a child. Banner. What does this have to do with children? Hulk is just an ignorant child. You should learn to coax children, not beat them. Lao Wang patiently explained. You should be young in mind, patient and loving. The decoration style of your room and laboratory can be younger, more cartoon, and more kindergarten style. Put more cartoon characters, teddy bears and toy dogs, and it's better to raise some small animals. Sky, what do you think of our laboratory setting up a zoo? I think it's not bad to open a kindergarten. Banner, you can take time to be a kindergarten teacher. Sky, Wang, are you sure there is nothing wrong with your brain? Was it kicked by Hulk? Believe me, I have experience in taking care of children. A trace of nostalgia flowed in Lao Wang's eyes, and the arc of his mouth became soft, which made Sky feel nervous. Could it be that Wang has a child without her knowing? Who is that woman? Okay, I'll try my best. Influenced by Lao Wang's spirit, Banner decided to give it a try. It's also good to have a younger mentality. I tell you, children are omnipotent and can cure all the bad habits in you. When it comes to children, Lao Wang has endless words to say. Are you a germaphobe? Have a child, and you will take care of all the shit and piss. Like to stay in bed? Have a child. Wake you up at 5 o'clock in the morning, wake you up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and wake you up once every half an hour at night. Bad temper? Have a child. Cry, make a fuss, and look for someone. If you are not nice to me, I will find my mother and grandmother. Believe it or not, I will call the whole family to a meeting to scold you. Have you returned everything you learned to the teacher? Have a child. You need tutoring in mathematics, Chinese, and English. You don't even need to tutor in handicrafts. It's not for the child to do it, it's for you to do it. Have a child. Lao Wang said earnestly. Drive Banner. Have a child. Hulk will like it. If you're afraid that you might accidentally transform and kill Betty, you can do IVF. I'll let Simmons inject 108 reagents into the fetus to ensure that he will never get sick in his life. His physique will be comparable to Captain America when he's born. He can punch a tiger in the South Mountain at the age of 3, capture a sea monster at the age of 5, have super whipping strength at the age of 7, and be as fast as Quicksilver at the age of 9. Maybe he can transform into the Hulk like you. The more Wang talked, the more excited he became. You know what? Maybe he can really make a super awesome little superhero. Why hasn't anyone thought of IVF? He really wasn't making it up. Whether it's comics or cartoons, there is ample evidence that the Hulk really likes children and small animals. And countless fathers who love their daughters can prove that children are indeed omnipotent. Of course, if you are unlucky enough to give birth to a son. Sorry, I sympathize. Banner. Is it too late for me to regret it now? Sky. Wang, you really have a woman outside. Simmons. Dr. Banner, just agree. I can't wait to do experiments on your baby. I'm excited just thinking about it. She glanced and stared at Lao Wang. Boss, you are the immortal Iron Fist, and Sky is the inhuman Shockwave girl. Both of your genes have undergone fundamental changes, and you are not human. If you two have a child, maybe it can inherit your abilities. It will cause an 8 magnitude earthquake as soon as it is born, and the Azure Dragon will protect its body with dazzling golden light. It must be stronger than the Hulk's child and more valuable for research. Director Wang, have a baby. Lao Wang's eyes are eager, Banner is embarrassed, Sky's eyes are cold, and Simmons is excited. The four of them stared at each other, and the atmosphere suddenly became extremely awkward. Yingling a groan came from my ear, and Betty woke up. The young couple didn't know how much to say, and Lao Wang asked Sky to arrange a large enough suite for them as a dormitory. The kind with super good sound insulation. Dr. Banner's personality is much more complicated than Dr. Pyme's, and it is also difficult to improve his favorability. It will take some time. Scientists must have a lot in common. Especially for top scientists, the deeper the research, the wider the scope. Whether it is in the fields of biochemistry, artificial intelligence or quantum mechanics, Pyme and Banner have done some research. Humans are essentially social animals. More communication will definitely help Dr. Banner stabilize his emotions and enhance his sense of belonging to the Azeroth laboratory. There are many benefits. The biochemical laboratory is a whole building, more than half of which is empty. It only needs to purchase the corresponding equipment to build a cell biology laboratory. Gamma rays belong to the category of nuclear physics, so fits will naturally help solve them. These specific matters are not for Lao Wang to consider. He is only responsible for paying. I don't know how General Ross's mess is being cleaned up. Lao Wang raised a beautiful arc at the corner of his mouth. Watching the fun, I like it. Thanks to Flying General Sun Yuanlian for the 100 rewards. Chapter 256 The Price of Power, Part 1. When the helicopter flew into the sky, General Ross was in a bad mood. There were 7 steps from the nose to the tail, and 7 steps from the tail to the nose. He walked back and forth 7 times. Director Wang was an honest man, very reliable in dealing with people. He was not worried about his daughter and Dr. Banner. Anyway, according to the existing research data, Banner would definitely not be able to be intimate with his daughter, and would not kill anyone. The most important thing now is to solve the current problem. This is the United States, the world of capital. I don't know how many of those rich and powerful guys who are not on good terms with me know about this. They are plotting in the cold and dark corners, discussing how to pull me down from my current position, and never think of climbing up. I have to use the connections I have accumulated over the years, and all the favors must be used up. Thinking of this, General Ross felt distressed. He made up his mind secretly, and another idea that he had long had emerged again: leave the military and develop into politics. This matter still requires the help of Director Fury and Director Wang. Those two guys are not ordinary people. They are popular in all aspects. Of course, they eat more and are not easy to feed. But it doesn't matter. Hulk is a person with special abilities, and SHIELD should be responsible for him. Now that he has been taken away by Director Wang, SHIELD cannot escape from the relationship. We are all in the same boat, and they will definitely help. This matter can be suppressed. Do you really want to leave the military? You are still unwilling to do so. A few hours later, the helicopter landed at a military base. As soon as General Ross got off the plane, he saw someone running over to report. General, Captain Bronsky wants to see you. Bronsky? Even if that guy's not dead, he has comminuted fractures all over his body. How could he not be unconscious? Could it be that he is in a state of last breath and wants to explain his affairs? Ross was puzzled, but calm on the surface. I know. Originally, he didn't need to care about the last wish of a captain, but Bronski was the first test subject of the Super Soldier project after all, and he was seconded from the British Royal Marines, so he had to give them face and an explanation. He quickly came to the base hospital and asked as he walked, does he have any family or relatives? Or close friends? Ask him himself. A female doctor looked strange. As he was talking, General Ross came to Bronski's room. He was stunned as soon as he entered the room. Bronski, who was covered in blood, actually got up from the bed. He seemed to be fine. Seeing General Ross coming, Bronski, who was removing the bandage, sat up straight. General Ross said nothing. His old eyes were shining, staring at Bronski up and down, and walked over slowly. His calloused hands touched Bronski's strong muscles randomly, and he was very accurate in the emphasis. He was an old hand. This made Bronski feel a little uncomfortable physically and mentally. However, considering that the other party was a general and his eyes were pure and innocent, Bronski still resisted the wild desire to vent in his heart and did not knock the other party down and rub him on the ground. After touching for 5 minutes, General Ross let go and said, I'm glad to see you recover, soldier. Thank you, General. Bronski was really grateful that the general stopped touching him. It felt really strange. General Ross smiled at the female doctor next to him, who had a complicated and stunned expression, and then asked, Bronski, how do you feel? The smile on Bronski's face gradually solidified. Thinking of the green monster, the kick that crushed his bones and muscles, Bronski was excited, super unhappy. I want to play the third round. Hearing Bronski's words, General Ross was very satisfied. Just injecting a small amount of super soldier serum can make a veteran's physical fitness reach twice that of an ordinary special forces soldier. In the case of comminuted fractures and complete damage to the internal organs, he can fully recover in less than a day. This is simply a miracle. Bruce Banner is indeed a genius. The Super Soldier project in which he participated was indeed successful. Judging from the effect alone, it may not be worse than Dr. Erkins's formula. With the Super Soldier serum, a large number of super soldiers can be created, which will inevitably increase his voice in the army. Even the mistakes in the Hulk can be completely offset, and maybe he can go one step further. Although he is called Air Force General, his rank is actually a 3-star general, which can only be regarded as a lieutenant general. There is still one level away from the real top of the military. I thought there was no hope in this life, but now it seems that it may not be the case. It's not enough. General Ross sighed inwardly. Twice the physical strength is not enough. It must reach 4 times the physical strength of Captain America. It didn't matter before. But now Captain America has been resurrected, Nick Fury has formed the Avengers, and a large number of superheroes such as the Immortal Iron Fist, the Shockwave Girl, the Ghost Rider, the Daredevil, and the Punisher have appeared. Ordinary super soldiers are far from enough. So, let's take the next step. General Ross looked at Bronski with extremely fiery eyes. Soldier, do you want to become stronger? Bronski's eyes lit up. Yes. He didn't ask, but, what is the price? It doesn't matter. Strength itself is the most important. That's good. General Ross smiled. Follow me. They soon came to the laboratory. Prepare for the second injection. General Ross ordered. The doctor in charge of the experiment exclaimed, ah, and asked hurriedly, General, how much should be injected this time? 10%? Or 20%? Or? The doctor was shocked and tried to dissuade him. General, the super soldier serum is not perfect yet. We should find more people to conduct experiments, increase the dosage by 10% each time, and leave at least 1 month of observation period between 2 experiments. If there is a problem, stop immediately and start over, because the problem is likely to be in the equation stage. Start over? General Ross smiled with self-mockery. Is there still time? I'm afraid those people don't have even a month left for me. If I can't come up with a perfect super soldier serum within a month and create a second Captain America, I really can't stay in the military. Bronski, you are my last hope. I said all, and that means all. General Ross ignored the doctor and turned to look at Bronski. "Soldier, are you ready?" "Ready." Bronski looked determined and clenched his fists. "This is the only way to be on par with that guy." The doctor hesitated for 2 seconds and decided not to tell the truth. "Captain, even if you don't die after injecting 10 times the dose, you are no match for the Hulk. You are a super soldier, and he is a monster. You are really not on the same level." The injection started quickly and was completed quickly. This time, Bronski experienced far greater pain than the first time, 10 times or 100 times more. Even with his firm will, he almost collapsed completely. The super soldier serum is not that simple. Even the original version is not something that everyone can bear. But he is the most elite special forces soldier. Feeling the seemingly endless power in his body, Bronski's smile was a little weird. For some reason, he felt as if he had become a little anxious, emotionally unstable, and even easily angry. This is not a bad thing. Isn't that green monster also prone to anger? How can he become stronger without anger? Strange. His spine seems to be stronger and more prominent than that of ordinary people, and his lumbar disc is also prominent. The doctor muttered to himself. No one paid attention to him. Super soldiers must be different from ordinary people in some ways. Captain America's bone density and muscle strength are much higher than those of ordinary people. It's not a big deal. "How do you feel?" General Ross asked. "It can't be better." Bronski clenched his fist, full of confidence. "Where is that guy? I'm going to kill him." "That thing is over, soldier." General Ross waved his hand. "Your task is to cooperate with Dr. Stern to do various tests and evaluations to improve the super soldier serum." Bronski was stunned. "Over? How can it be over? I have suffered the most terrible pain in the world and paid so much to get the most terrible power in the world. How can I not fight him, but be a test subject, a humanoid guinea pig? If I can't defeat him, what's the point of all I do? What are you fighting for? You can't beat him." The doctor standing next to him muttered softly. General Ross glared at the doctor. "What nonsense are you talking about? Go do your test." He looked at Bronski with a gentle attitude. "There will be a chance. Cooperate with Dr. Stern to do the test, and you still have a chance to become stronger." For 5 years, Dr. Stern has been in contact with Bruce Banner and used the blood samples he sent for experiments. He knows the Hulk best. The Hulk's blood sample. Bronski's eyes lit up. "Where is he?" Chapter 257 Hate, Big Boss, Part 2. A laboratory in Jebin College. "Drive Stern, as you requested. We have not moved anything here. This laboratory and you are now requisitioned." "You just said that you can create more Hulks?" asked an Air Force major. She is a woman and one of the participants in the Super Soldier Project, a doctor. According to General Ross's order, everything here was supposed to be moved to the Air Force Base, but it was not that easy. We had to pay attention to the impact of all aspects. There was pressure from people above, and Dr. Stern himself did not want to leave. Jebin College was not easy to deal with, and Dr. Stern himself was not without background. In the end, they could only requisition the laboratory and Dr. Stern, and invite him to join the Super Soldier Project. "No, not yet. I have some information, but it's far from enough. I can't create a second Hulk. Even if I do, it won't be the Hulk. Life is complicated, and gamma rays are complicated. Maybe what I created is not the Hulk, but the red giant, the yellow giant, or the pink giant." Dr. Stern sat on a stool, waving his arms and shouting, "The Hulk is an accident. Do you understand what an accident is? An accident is that you have an IUD, take pills, wear a condom, and ejaculate, but you still get pregnant with yellow, white, and black triplets. The probability may be only 1 in a billion, or even 1 in 10 billion. It's God's masterpiece, and I'm not God." Female doctor, "So the Hulk is the only one." "Ah." With a thud, she fell softly. "She's really annoying." Bronski appeared behind him, sweating profusely. Hey, why are you hitting people?" Dr. Stern was angry. "Do you know that we are discussing a very advanced research topic? This research will change the whole world and make human evolution leap a million years in an instant. Moreover, she is a woman. What are you doing? I tell you, Put down the gun. Be careful of accidental discharge. You can't hit a woman, but you can't hit a man. Give me what's inside the Hulk's body. Give me his power. Bronski pointed the gun at Dr. Stern and said, now, immediately. Looking at Bronski, who was so excited that he was about to lose control, Dr. Stern slowly stood up, his eyes burning. Don't move. Something is wrong with you. Your mental state is unstable. You seem to have been injected with something. Super soldier serum? Yes. Bronski glanced at the several photos on the table, which showed the Hulk, and became more and more excited. Did you see what he looks like? That ugly guy. Yes, I saw it. He's perfect. His lines are so hard and sexy. His muscles are so powerful. His figure is so perfect. He's simply a god. Dr. Stern also became excited. Then now, I'll give you a chance to create a god. Bronski said. But I don't know about the super soldier serum. I don't know how the two substances will react. Maybe it's worse. Maybe it creates not so many gods, but monsters. A monster that can destroy a city. It may be better. Bronski growled. Go and do it. I don't have time. Relying on the ability of special forces to sneak in secretly and kill several soldiers guarding the laboratory, it is very secretive. But the communication between the soldiers was cut off, and the patrol team would soon find the abnormality. What awaits me at that time is the pursuit of the military. Before that, I must gain enough power. Only with power can I seek revenge on the Hulk and have bargaining chips to negotiate with General Ross and the military. Only then can I stop being a guinea pig and become an upright soldier. Okay, don't get excited first. Relax. Yes, that's it. I can't breathe. You hurt me, rude guy. Dr. Stern lay on the ground and panted heavily. It took a minute for him to get up. He thought to himself that this was delivered to me by you, not forced by me. What a good experimental material. Lie down on the bed. Yes, I'm going to tie you up now. I'm going to give you an injection. Don't resist. Why is it green light? This is gamma rays. Got you, a muscular soldier. Actually no, that gamma rays are invisible light. What's wrong with this world? Okay. Gamma rays are the highest energy form of light. This concentrated light can instantly destroy all the chemical bonds in your body, producing molecular fragments that can act as toxins and kill you 10,000 times. That's why I said the Hulk is a gift from God. His radiation level is 7.35 times that of now, but he didn't die. Don't worry, you probably won't die. After all, you've been injected with super soldier serum, and your cell regeneration ability is amazing. Success rate? 0.1%. If you give me a month to study, it can be increased to at least 1%. You volunteered. The green light is actually the result of light irradiating the Hulk's blood sample. Why are you fussing about this? Let's begin. Oh my god, your muscles are swelling. The energy of gamma rays is too strong. It destroys all the chemical bonds in your body, reorganizes you at the molecular level, and changes your genes. Hey, it's not green, but brown. I just said that, and it came true. Einstein's maths energy equation, the law of conservation of energy. Enough energy creates matter. Captain America absorbed enough energy to become taller and stronger, and turned into America's hips. So and so, I'm assuming you don't understand what I'm saying. Please lie down. It's not my fault that you've become ugly. I'll heal you, believe me. Bronski threw Dr. Stern aside and felt all the changes in his body. The Hulk's blood was 100 times more powerful than the super soldier serum. It destroyed all his vitality and reshaped everything from bones to muscles to internal organs, even to the nose, eyes, and ears. This kind of pain was 10 times more than before. He was even numb. The benefits were also obvious. He could clearly feel his own strength, at least 100 times more than before. It was unimaginable. The African elephant was just a paper ant in front of him, and the blue whale was nothing. The boiling blood flowed in his blood vessels, and every cell was full of vitality, as if it would never be destroyed. He was nearly 3 meters tall, taller than all the little giants in the world. He was a real giant. The regenerated bones are much heavier and harder than before, supporting nearly a ton of muscles. The ugly skin is 10 or 100 times harder than steel. He grabbed a steel pipe and flattened it without any effort. Hulk blood, gamma rays, and super soldier serum. 3 different forces created incredible creatures, which are also special cases that are almost impossible to replicate. After all, Dr. Stern said that the success rate is only 0.1%, but I still succeeded. Why? Because I'm a miracle, a creation of God. No, I'm the real God. Banner. I'm going to find you. I don't know where you are. I'm going to find Ross first. He must know. He's too far away and hard to find. Let him come to me. Bronski jumped out of the window and shouted, "Ross, Banner." Dr. Stern fell to the ground. His head was broken and bleeding due to the impact. The glass bottle containing the Hulk's blood sample also cracked due to the impact, and a drop of blood dripped. It fell on a wound on Dr. Stern's head. Blood that is 100 times healthier than cancer cells invaded his body. His head squirmed, and his brain and skull rapidly proliferated and developed upward. In less than a few minutes, a giant with severe bone hyperplasia appeared. Dr. Stern slowly woke up. He felt the changes in his head, felt a strong mental power and telepathy, and even sensed the thoughts of the unconscious female doctor. More importantly, he felt that his thinking was clearer than ever before. Many problems that he couldn't figure out before now seemed to be separated by only a layer of paper and could be pierced at any time. My IQ has increased at least 1000 times. What is hatred? And what is the Hulk? I'm the real genius, the real God. A weird smile appeared on Dr. Stern's face. The experiment can continue. Chapter 258, A Nightmare in Harlem, Part 1. For Harlem, today is destined to be a sleepless night. The Hulk did not show up as scheduled, but the brown giant abomination was much more punctual. It can only be said that he is a trained soldier with a good sense of time, not a scientist who works day and night. So good. The G-Bond College is too small and the population is too small. Even if it is smashed everywhere, the impact will not be too great. Moreover, such a relatively open place is more likely to be surrounded by the military. For Bronski, who is bent on making trouble, it is not very suitable. The most suitable places, of course, the residential area and the downtown area. He actually did not intend to kill people wantonly, but to make a big deal and attract General Ross. The situation is already like this. The 3 bad guys caused all this. General Ross, who injected himself with an imperfect version of the super soldier serum. Dr. Stern, who injected the Hulk serum and irradiated gamma rays, and the Hulk who provided the tools for the crime. Unlike the Hulk, although he transformed, his mind was still clear. He knew that this matter had nothing to do with Dr. Stern. He was forced to do it. The other 2 guys were the culprits, especially the Hulk. I became like this and couldn't change back. It was all caused by that guy. As the most elite special forces soldier, he was very clear about his current situation. For those big guys standing at the pinnacle of power, he is a weapon. Maybe a weapon used to deal with terrorists. Maybe a weapon used to deal with competitors. They will definitely think about control rather than destruction. So there is no big problem with life safety. One person certainly can't deal with the whole world. He must find a partner. Dr. Stern is one. General Ross is another. It would be bad if he killed too many people, so he just planned to smash everywhere and attract Ross. If he could become a human again like the Hulk, he would definitely choose a more covert method, such as secretly investigating or contacting General Ross privately. But now this face is definitely not suitable for people to see. It's all the Hulk's fault. The most important thing is that he doesn't want to be controlled by others. He just wants to take the initiative. After smashing the window of the laboratory, Bronski rushed in the direction of the most lively and noisy. What is that? So tall and so strong. Could it be the Hulk? Isn't he at Culver University? Why did he come to Jebon College? The general just gave the order 2 hours ago. Don't worry about the Hulk, just keep an eye on Dr. Stern. Most of the troops dispatched by the general have withdrawn. We can't defeat them. What are you standing there for? Report to the general and request reinforcement. Wait. Are you sure it's the Hulk? It's obviously brown. Could the Hulk put on makeup? You go to the laboratory and see what's going on. Is Dr. Stern still alive? The soldiers in charge of guarding the laboratory were stunned. They saw with their own eyes a huge metal device flying out of the window on the 2nd floor of the laboratory. The two soldiers patrolling below had no time to react and fell to the ground. Then a brown monster jumped down, bent its knees and bent down, and jumped directly to the roof of the opposite house 20 meters away, disappearing in an instant. K3 calling the captain. A brown monster killed two brothers. Bronsky and Dr. Stern are still in the lab. We caught up with him. He caught up with us. The flames that shot up into the sky illuminated half of the G-Bond Academy. I don't know how many cars were smashed. The flowing gasoline ignited, mixed with the unknown gas in the lab, causing a huge explosion that had never been seen in decades, awakening the entire Harlem area. General Ross was in a good mood. The second injection went smoothly, Bronsky was in good condition, and the test results were also ideal. His physical strength was enhanced again, reaching 4 times the original. Even compared with Captain America, it was not inferior at all. If the two of them were to fight head-on, it would be unknown who would win or lose. Thinking of Captain America, he thought of the Avengers, S.H.I.E.L.D., and Nick Fury. You have Captain America, I have Bronsky. There is only one Captain America, but there can be 10 times, 100, or 1,000 Bronskys. Avengers? Haha. General Ross sneered. He now looked down on the Avengers and planned to set up his own superhero team. Thunderbolt Team, that's a good name. As long as he thought about having his own superhero team soon, and the members would not be 3 or 5, but dozens or hundreds, he would be extremely excited, and he would not feel sleepy, even if he did not sleep for 3 days and 3 nights. Such a good thing, of course, must be shared with someone. General Ross immediately thought of his mortal enemy Dr. Banner, and of course his daughter with a crooked elbow. Give me the ground and external threat, strategic defense, offense, and, it's so hard to remember. Director Wang of the Divine Bureau. The call was quickly connected, and Lao Wang's lazy voice came. General Ross, why are you not sleeping at this late night? Such a loud noise. Let me guess, you are not flying to Jebin College overnight, are you? Ross's eyelids sank. Sure enough, the Divine Bureau also targeted Dr. Stern. Why did he rush to see Dr. Stern overnight after just dealing with the mess at Culver University without sleeping? It's to prevent you and Fury, 2 bastards. Director Wang, Dr. Samuel Stern has been requisitioned by the military, and this has been approved by the Secretary of Defense. He hurriedly reminded in a deep voice, and the meaning was very clear. I have a big boss to protect me. If you dare to interfere, we will go to the Pentagon to reason. Don't get excited, don't get excited. I'm not interested in Dr. Stern. You want him to host the Super Soldier Project? This is a good thing. For the welfare of all mankind, I fully support it on behalf of the Schengen Bureau. Lao Wang yawned and said consciously, General, you are definitely not looking for me, right? Wait a minute. Sky, transfer the call to Dr. Banner and his girlfriend. Well, okay. Sky stretched. The call was quickly transferred. Banner didn't want to answer the phone, but Betty obviously hoped that her boyfriend would reconcile with his father, and her eyes were full of expectations when she looked at Banner. Thinking of Director Wang's promise, maybe she can really live a normal life in the future, and there is no need to fall out with her future father-in-law, so she answered the phone. General, drive Banner. Ross was in a bad mood when he heard Banner's voice. He snorted. Just as I was about to say something, the captain next to me suddenly whispered, Monster, it's Lieutenant Colonel Kyle's call, you'd better listen to it yourself. General Ross wanted to get angry because he dared to interrupt my ridicule show off. But when he saw the captain's expression, he knew something was wrong, so he quickly put on his headphones and heard Lieutenant Colonel Kyle shouting, Brown Hulk is on the street. Repeat, Brown Hulk is on the street. Hulk. Brown Hulk. Hulk is talking to me on the phone. How could he be on the street in Harlem? And he is green, not brown. Kyle, you are colorblind. How did you pass the enlistment physical examination? We are the Air Force. Impossible. Stay calm, Lieutenant Colonel Kyle. Tell me your location now. He looked at the pilot. How long will it take to get to Harlem? The pilot quickly replied, 2 minutes, General. General, we are at the intersection of 121st Street and North Broadway. Requesting support. Requesting support. Lieutenant Colonel Kyle shouted. General Ross's heart sank. Speed up. Connect me to the live video. Yes, General. The video appeared soon. Ross was stunned when he saw the building that was about to be smashed into pieces, the large-scale serial car accident scene that blocked the street, and the brown giant who was hopping and smashing cars as if they were toys. Where did this thing come from? Could it be that Dr. Stern made it? Could it be Ross? Banner. A roar came from the headset, and Ross was scared and sweating. Bronski. It was Bronski. General Ross, who was originally sleepy, heard this, and his fatigue value instantly cleared, and his heart, which had been needed thousands of times, tightened. How could it be him? I asked him to go to Jebin College, to cooperate with the experiment, but I didn't let him inject the Hulk serum. What should I do? The panic lasted only 20 seconds, before it was crushed by reason. Many years of military career have given General Ross a much clearer mind than ordinary people and a more decisive style of killing. Harlem is a gathering place for blacks with a large population. If Bronski is allowed to continue like this, it is unknown how many people will die. Hundreds or thousands of people, or even more. This is going to make a sensation around the world. The president and even the United Nations will have to ask about it directly. And Ross, he can't stand any interrogation. He created the Hulk. The Super Soldier project was stopped 5 years ago. The only remaining serum was sealed at low temperature. At that time, the situation was urgent, and he didn't have time to argue with all parties, so he used it directly without applying for it and injected Bronski. He controlled Dr. Stern. Some people in the military advocated destroying all the Hulk serum and sealing all related research materials. He was also firmly opposed and planned to restart the Super Soldier project again, with Dr. Stern in charge. I thought Bronski's second injection was good. He only needed to cooperate with Dr. Stern's research and testing to make a more perfect Super Soldier serum, so that his voice in the military and even the Pentagon would be strengthened. But now, don't think about it. I will definitely not be able to stay in the military. I can only develop into politics. Bronski must be dealt with, otherwise I will definitely be sent to a military court by my opponents. A series of thoughts emerged in General Ross's mind, and he made a decision quickly. The army and police in Harlem can't deal with Bronski, and SHIELD and the Avengers can't do it either. There was only one choice. He grabbed the phone next to him and yelled into it, "Director Wang, I know you are listening. Please go to Harlem immediately." Harlem? Before he could finish his words, Lao Wang's voice rang out, "I'm already here." Chapter 259 Near Existence is Meaningless, Part 2. What? You're here already? General Ross held the phone, not knowing what to say. If I hadn't known that you could open a portal and that Director Wang was a good man, he wouldn't have watched Bronski wreak havoc. I almost thought you had been in Harlem the whole time, waiting for me to call you for help. General Ross breathed a sigh of relief. With Director Wang here, there should be no problem. Although he didn't want to admit it, he had to say that if there was anyone in the world who could deal with Bronski, it must be him. After thinking about it, he still felt a little unsafe. Eggs can't be put in one basket, and we can't rely solely on the Bureau of SHIELD. What if Director Wang is not strong enough? It is the responsibility of SHIELD to deal with people with special abilities who cause trouble, and Fury can't be left idle. He hurriedly called, his words were earnest and his attitude was sincere, hoping that the Avengers could come to help. "General, the Avengers have an important mission." Fury had a headache. What happened recently? There are so many things going on. Tony is a frequent troublemaker, and Hydra's daily terrorist attacks are nothing. Why are you, General Ross, causing trouble? You just dealt with the Hulk during the day, and you brought out the brown giant at night. Can you let people sleep? Thinking of the big trouble in New Mexico, he rubbed his eyes and thought that he would definitely not be able to sleep tonight. Don't even think about sleeping well in the near future. Agent Hill will bring people to help. Fury thought for a while and said, the word help is emphasized. The meaning is very clear, just help. Don't expect SHIELD to help you deal with Bronski. We don't have that ability, and we don't want to cause too much loss because of your trouble. SHIELD can't afford it. Does the Avengers have an important mission? General Ross was stunned. His face was not very good. What important mission could be more important than dealing with Bronski? The general looks like a politician, and he made a judgment at the first time. Fury just doesn't want to care. Humph. An agent among agents, a secret among secrets, a spy among spies. He is really a piece of shit. This matter still depends on Director Wang. There is no harm without comparison. Originally, he didn't think much of Director Wang, at most he wasn't that disgusting. But now, compared with Fury, he found that Director Wang was a rare good man. Maybe I should get closer to Director Wang? Looking at the chaotic Harlem, Lao Wang really admired Bronsky. Can you just randomly inject needles? You have a big heart, buddy. I thought that after the butterfly effect, Abomination would not be born, but I didn't expect it to appear by accident. Is this what Chromie often said before? The self-healing nature of the timeline? The world is made up of a series of complex individuals and their relationships with each other. A butterfly in the tropical rainforest of the Amazon River basin in South America occasionally flaps its wings, which may indeed cause a tornado in Texas, USA 2 weeks later. But it is only a possibility. There are too many factors that will make it impossible. For a tornado, the flapping of a butterfly's wings is just one of billions of influencing factors, and it is still a very insignificant one. Similarly, for the birth of Abomination, the Hulk's early departure is not a decisive factor. His own personality, the comprehensive amplification of a person by the super soldier serum, his fight with the Hulk, Dr. Stern's research on the Hulk's blood, General Ross's desire for the success of the super soldier project, and his cover-up of failure. All of these are driving the birth of Abomination. The moment he was seconded from the UK to the United States, his fate was already determined. The old king looked into the distance. Abomination is indeed much stronger than the normal Hulk, and has greater destructive power. It has only been a short time, and at least hundreds of people have died. The losses in vehicles, buildings and public facilities are at least hundreds of millions. General Ross is in big trouble. Director Wang, please take action immediately. American citizens die every second. General Ross's anxious request came to his ears, and the old king smiled slightly. Abomination is not the Hulk, and he is not interested in fighting with such a guy with constant strength. This is not a head-on environment, otherwise it will cause greater losses, and he, the old king, will not be able to escape responsibility. The most important thing is, this guy is still useful. Then, let's go to another place. Your enemy is not me either. After a few ups and downs, they arrived at the top of a tall building less than 1 kilometer away from the Abomination. Old Wang raised his hand to draw a circle. Calculating the next move of the Abomination, the orange-yellow portal opened right in front of it, and there was a vast ocean inside. It's over, General. The portal closed. Old Wang hung up the phone, turned around, and walked towards Jebon College. Seeing the orange-yellow halo that suddenly appeared in the video, and the Abomination that fell into the halo and disappeared, General Ross breathed a sigh of relief. Director Wang is Director Wang. Bronsky, who is more terrifying than the Hulk, was dealt with in less than half a minute. The current losses and casualties are not great. Although the military can't stay, it won't send him to a military court. He sighed in his heart. Bronsky is now a member of the Godstick Bureau, and with Director Wang's personality, he will definitely not spit out the meat in his mouth. The Hulk is gone, and Bronsky is gone too. It's impossible not to feel sad that so many years of hard work have been destroyed. Fortunately, the research data of the Super Soldier project is still there, which can completely push Dr. Stern to restart the Super Soldier project and improve it. Even if he is no longer in the military, this will be a good political resource. Wait. General Ross was suddenly shocked. Dr. Stern. Bronsky has turned into a monster. Is Dr. Stern still alive? Even if he is alive, is he still in the laboratory? He was instantly alert and shouted, "Quick, go to the Jebon Institute." Jebon Institute, laboratory. Getting up from the ground and touching the giant that was twice as tall as before, Dr. Stern looked strange. Well, I didn't have a girlfriend in the first place, and it's even harder to find one now. But it doesn't matter. What's so good about women? Science is the only true love. He walked to the window, looked at the flames in the distance, listened to the screams, and once again showed a weird smile at the corner of his mouth, muttering to himself, "My IQ has increased at least 1,000 times. I will see the mysteries of the universe and human hearts. I'm the real god. Really? As soon as the voice fell, a chuckle was heard, with a mocking meaning. Dr. Stern's body froze. The head mutation more than doubled his brain capacity, and he also had telepathy and mind control abilities. His extremely high intelligence brought him strong intuition, computational thinking, information storage, logic, and philosophical structure. His intuition can make the most correct judgment on anything in almost an instant. His perfect memory enables him to recall any moment of anything. Any movement around him cannot escape his perception. He heard the sound of blood flowing, but did not hear the footsteps of the approaching people. He sensed the panic of the graduate students downstairs, but did not sense someone coming. And that person had come behind him. Turning around, Dr. Stern only took a glance and made a judgment. This person is not to be trifled with. However, years of immersion in research and the sudden increase in wisdom made him extremely confident in himself. Hearing someone mocking him, he subconsciously snorted and couldn't help but refute. But he held back before he opened his mouth. This person seemed to have ill intentions towards him. Saving his life was the most important thing. The rest could be dealt with later. Thinking of this, he hurriedly said, "I don't care who you are, it doesn't matter. As long as you provide funds and equipment, I will serve you. I can perfect the super soldier serum. No. I can create a better physical enhancer than the super soldier serum, which can increase a person's physical fitness by 8 times or 10 times. I can mass produce the Hulk, or the brown giant or the red giant. I can create the most powerful super army in the world. My wisdom surpasses that of humans. I'm the god of the world. I'm God. No matter what you ask me to study, I can study it, and it will be better than you ask. Don't kill me, let me serve you. Think about it, a god is serving you." He looked up at the young man with an oriental face in front of him, his eyes showing a strong desire to survive, disdain and contempt hidden in the desire to survive, and a trace of anger in the contempt. "Mortals, dare to be arrogant in front of God. Spare you first. It won't be long before I will understand all the secrets of mankind, and you are no exception." He concentrated, trying to see envy, desire, or something else on the other person's face. But he didn't. The other person was as calm as water, and he couldn't see anything. This made him a little flustered, and he felt that the situation was not good. Then he heard the other person's somewhat sarcastic voice. "First of all, the IQ increased by 1000 times is just your illusion. A big head does not mean a high IQ. Otherwise, the land should be ruled by elephants and the ocean should be ruled by blue whales, not humans. Secondly, everyone who has learned multiplication knows that 2 times 9 is less than 6 times 6. Your IQ is not high. Even if it increases many times, it is still not as good as Dr. Banner, Dr. Pym, and Mr. Stark. Your research direction is Dr. Banner's research direction. What is the value of your existence? The most important thing is that you are the same as the abomination. Your mutations have produced bad results. Simply put, you are not good things. You all have ambitions and dare to take action. So, why should I take in someone who is always ready to betray me and kill me?" Lao Wang raised his hand and drew a circle, and the portal appeared. "Goodbye, Dr. Stern." Watching the man leave and the portal disappear, Dr. Stern was both relieved and curious. He didn't understand why this man would let him go. Of course, he was more curious about what this portal was and how it could be opened by a ring. A micro wormhole created by the force field. A spatial distortion caused by energy density? Could it be a super small warp engine disguised as a ring, hidden through space storage technology? Thinking of this, he was actually a little flustered. Strange, why is my heart beating so fast? At least 100 beats per second. No, 120. No, 180. No, 300. No. I haven't yet understood the mysteries of the universe and human heart. I still have love for this world in my heart, and my endless curiosity has not been satisfied. How can I die now? No. He staggered and fell to the ground. After beating very fast, his heart stopped abruptly. Bang! The door opened, and a team of special forces rushed in. "Drive Stern. Doctor, hurry up and check him. The head has grown bigger. It seems that the Hulk's blood has caused the mutation." The breathing has stopped. The heart has stopped. The body temperature is 37 degrees, and he has just died. Preliminary judgment is that his heart rate should have accelerated during the mutation, similar to Bronski, but he does not have Bronski's physique, and he is not lucky enough. After hearing the doctor's diagnosis, the captain organized his words and reported to the higher-ups. General, Dr. Stern is dead. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 260, Too Thin, Eat More, Part 1. Dr. Stern is dead. Hearing the report from his men, General Ross almost ripped off his headphones. So all my efforts over the years have been in vain? His mind was blank, and General Ross felt so helpless, like a teddy bear that had been played with by its owner hundreds of times, and thrown into the garbage dump, losing its value and direction in life. It was broken everywhere, and covered in oil. It exuded a disgusting stench. No, I can't be depressed. It's just going to politics. The worst that can happen is to start all over again. General Ross cheered up and said in a deep voice, control the laboratory immediately and seal up all the information in the Hulk serum. This matter is not over yet. When the storm is over and we have a firm foothold in the Pentagon, the experiment will continue. Everything will be fine. General Ross's eyes shone with hope. Azeroth Laboratory, Lao Wang's bedroom. The orange-red portal flashed by, and Lao Wang walked out. Wang, General Ross must be very distressed, right? Seeing Lao Wang appear, Sky guessed what happened, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. The Hulk is gone, Bronski is gone, and now even Dr. Stern is gone, and his daughter ran away too. It's so tragic. The family is broken, and the death of his family is not enough to describe it. His career and family are ruined. This man is really a failure. Lao Wang rubbed Sky's head. At least he still has the super soldier serum and the Hulk serum, as well as Dr. Stern's research data. If he has the courage, he can continue his research, and maybe he can really come up with something, but he probably won't do that. This is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, not other parallel universes. General Ross in this universe is just General Ross, and he didn't become the Red Hulk until Thanos died. What's more, Dr. Stern is dead, and no one will help him. The Thunderbolts will not be born. So, just go to politics honestly. If he is lucky, with his ability, he should be able to get a good position, such as the Minister of Defense, the Minister of Finance, or Secretary of State. Don't worry about him. He can clean up the mess himself. We still have business to do. As soon as the voice fell, there was a knock on the door. It was Banner and Betty. Director Wang, Bronski. Banner just opened his mouth and heard Lao Wang say with a smile, solved. Solved. Banner and Betty looked at each other. Well, this seems normal. If you can defeat Hulk, you can certainly defeat Bronski, although that guy looks stronger than Hulk. Strange. Why do I feel so angry when I just have this idea and want to fight Bronski? Just in time for you to come. Come with me. Lao Wang opened the door and took the three people to the high seas. This is 500 meters above the high seas, and the scenery is just right. There is a vast ocean in all directions, east, south, west, and north. You can't see Puerto Rico hundreds of miles away, nor can you see any ships. There is only a waning moon and the stars in the sky. Looking at the vastness of the world, running naked and swimming naked is not shameful. Blowing the sea breeze, the salty and wet smell hit her face. Betty obviously liked this feeling. She thought it would be better if there were no two human-shaped light bulbs next to her. That would be the world of two people I want, without a father and no troubles, just you and me. Banner was more concerned about the auspicious clouds under his feet. He stamped his feet, squatted down and touched it. It was so wet and slippery, and he was a little confused. Is it a combination of energy and water vapor? And the buoyancy of their flow? How is this done? Can you manipulate energy? I'll study it slowly in the future, Dr. Banner. Lao Wang smiled and looked into the distance. Bronski is over there, or should I call it abomination? There was a brown monster not far away, swimming. Swimming is a necessary skill for special forces, but the problem is that his current appearance is obviously not suitable. The density is greater than iron, and it will sink if thrown into the water. The water is not suitable for jumping. This high seas is a natural cage for him. It is not so easy to leave. It takes time. The most important thing is that there are no reference objects around. He has no idea where he is and which direction to swim to get closer to the land. So even after several minutes, he was still wandering in the same place. So helpless and pitiful. It made Lao Wang feel distressed. Is it Bronski? The night was dark, and even with the stars shining in the sky, it was too far to see clearly. But at least the general outline could be seen. How could a good British soldier become such a ghost? Much uglier than the Hulk. Director Wang was right. This man should be called Abomination now. It's disgusting to look at. This place is not suitable. Let's change to another place. Lao Wang drew a circle, and an orange portal appeared in front of Bronski. Then he waved his hand, pushed forward with his key hand, and pushed Bronski into the portal. Bang! The poor special forces soldier fell from a height of several thousand meters and smashed a big hole. The strong impact brought by the high altitude fall made him fall into a coma. Although his physical fitness in all aspects is better than the normal Hulk, his self-healing ability and impact resistance are actually worse, and he can't bear it at all. Sky could feel the impact through the portal, and while mourning for Bronski, he looked at Lao Wang. Did you do it on purpose? Well, I'm not familiar with that place, so there are some deviations. Lao Wang was a little embarrassed. He really didn't mean to do that, but the distance of the teleportation this time was too far, so it's normal to have errors. Opening the door again, Lao Wang came to the deserted island. This was the deserted island where he fought with the Hulk last time. There were potholes everywhere, and most of the vegetation on the island was destroyed. The remaining small part probably wouldn't last long. Ban looked at Lao Wang, wondering why Director Wang brought him here. He was not interested in muscular men. Practice with Hulk. Lao Wang smiled and said, it's better to vent than to block. Suppressing emotions for too long will have serious consequences. In the future, whenever you have too much emotional fluctuations, go to fight him, and come back after venting. How good. Sky rolled his eyes at Lao Wang. There are 2 more reasons you didn't say. When it comes to fighting, practice makes perfect. Strength alone is not enough. You also need experience and skills. Hulk is just a kid who knows nothing, and he doesn't look like someone who is willing to study hard. Boring training is not suitable for him. Using fighting to hone his skills is the best way. Bronski is stronger than the normal Hulk, and he is tough and hard to kill, making him the best sparring partner. In addition, Bronski combines the power of the Hulk and the super soldier in one, which is unique and the best experimental material. But this guy's skin is too thick, so how to bleed is a problem, a big problem. It's not good to be unarmed. When there is a chance, I will get you a suit of armor and a weapon. Hulk is a god-level existence on Earth. Only artifacts are worthy of him, and the artifacts in this world are probably legendary weapons in World of Warcraft, such as the Wind Sword and the Egg Knife. Hulk is a strength hero, and the most suitable for him is plate armor, and the material must be good enough, otherwise it is meaningless. He has thick skin, and defense comparable to vibranium. Among all the materials in World of Warcraft, there are not many that can compare with vibranium. They are all epic materials, which are ridiculously expensive. Any decent legendary weapon is worth the same as the dragon bone of an entire immortal dragon, which is really unaffordable. We have to find a way to get some good stuff. There's no need to exchange ordinary items. Lao Wang has high standards. At least it should be at the level of camouflage artifacts, or even artifacts. Wait. The Hulk's physique is comparable to that of the turtle demigod Tortala. Although due to various reasons, the value of blood is definitely not as good as that of demigod blood, it is definitely not too bad, and it is a renewable resource. You can have as much as you want. Otherwise, drive Banner, you are too thin. You should eat more. He looked at Banner with concern. Chapter 261 How to Become Stronger Without Becoming Bald? Part 2. Lao Wang stared at Banner for more than 10 seconds, which made him feel touched and uncomfortable. He was touched because Director Wang cared about him so much. He was a considerate boss who was rare in capitalist countries. He was a national first-class protected animal. He was uncomfortable because he always felt that there was something wrong with Director Wang's eyes. He had bad intentions and seemed to have some intentions towards him. The question is, what intentions can you have towards me? I can't beat him, but I still agreed to join your laboratory. What surplus value can I extract from my 70 kilogram body? Wait. The final surplus value seems to be the body itself. Could it be that he has a problem in that aspect? Banner shuddered all over and felt that he had guessed the truth. How happy Director Wang was to fight Hulk at close range before, and now he looks at him with such eyes, so evil and scary. I dare not provoke him. I must keep my distance. This doesn't seem to be good. Lao Wang said to himself. Dr. Banner's blood and the Hulk's blood are probably two different things. They are not necessarily valuable and may not be enough for nutrition. And if Hulk's blood is really drawn, the consequences will be serious. Hurting feelings is a small matter, but if Hulk is angry, it will be a big deal to hurt his body. The higher the Hulk's anger value, the stronger his mental resistance is, and the harder it is to be affected. If he really goes too far, he may not be able to surrender, and in the end he will be the one who gets hurt. And Hulk is only a 5-year-old child after all. Children are afraid of injections and pain, and can't be coaxed. Forget it. I'm not Thanos. I have no interest in raising Hulk, and there are better options. Let's go down. The auspicious cloud descended. Lao Wang stretched out his hand, and the abomination in the deep pit quickly floated up, straightened his body, and showed every structure to everyone. A pair of hands wandered over the abomination's sturdy body. The delicate skin and hard bones rubbed against each other, feeling the hardness, heat, and freshness of every place. Lao Wang nodded slightly, very satisfied. Really strong. Standing up, he is taller than Hulk, weighs almost twice as much as Hulk, and has a thick and hard bone armor on the surface of his body. Where there is no bone, there is a hard stratum corneum. Where there is no stratum corneum, there is hardened skin that is no worse than dragon skin. The bone armor feels similar to the dragon scales of Black Dragon's sister, but of course the appearance is not the same, so it loses points. The large size means that the blood that abomination can sell is much more than Hulk. And there is another renewable resource. This guy is a smaller version of Godzilla. Not bad, not bad. Lao Wang became happier and happier as he touched it, with a smile on his face. He poked it with his finger, and the surface was indeed very hard, and it was not easy to bleed. Abomination's defense is not as good as Hulk's when his anger value is full. It is slightly worse than vibranium, and much harder than gold titanium alloy. If you want to draw blood from abomination, no matter how hard the needle is, it will be useless. Vibranium is almost the same. It is very expensive. And there is no need to be so troublesome. Drive Banner, I leave it to you. Lao Wang smiled, which made Banner a little puzzled. What do you want to give me? I don't know anything. He instinctively felt that something was wrong. What is Director Wang going to do? Don't you find that your emotions have been a little unstable since you came here? Lao Wang asked with a smile. Emotional instability? Banner thought about it carefully, and it seemed to be the case. As soon as he saw the abomination, he felt uncontrollable disgust and anger in his heart, and always wanted to rush over and beat that guy up. This was certainly not his idea, but the emotional fluctuations from Hulk. Hulk is unique. Of course, he would not allow a second self to exist in the world, and the key is that he is still so ugly, so ugly. Children are sometimes unreasonable, and they don't make sense, no matter what you say, and they insist on being stubborn. Hulk, you are a damn bad child. You can't stand it. Dr. Banner, you need to release your emotions. Lao Wang patted Banner on the shoulder and pushed forward. Then he quickly retreated with Sky and Betty. Banner staggered and threw himself into the arms of the abomination. Banner, who had not transformed, was just a skinny weakling with less than one goose in combat power. He suddenly threw himself into the arms of such a terrible monster, and was panicked, and hurried to get up. But he failed, and his whole body tightened. A hand grabbed his body. Abomination opened his eyes. Bruce. Seeing her beloved man being hugged tightly by a big and strong monster, it was very dangerous. Betty panicked and struggled to rush over and snatch her boyfriend back. Don't be excited. Don't be excited. Dr. Banner will be fine. I'm helping him to relieve his heat. Lao Wang quickly took Betty's hand and comforted her. This is for his good, and for your good. He is good, and you are good, and everyone is good. It's really good. Betty, is this the point? Director Wang, why is your focus different from everyone else? She was anxious, but she couldn't open Lao Wang's big hand, so she had to give up. Opening her eyes and seeing Dr. Banner in her arms, Abomination was stunned at first, and then overjoyed. Banner, it's Banner. I've paid so much just to fight you. Hulk, come out. He held Banner's back with one hand and grabbed Banner's neck with the other. The next moment, he felt the touch change. The soft body became harder and harder, the pressure on the chest continued to increase, and a puffed green monster appeared in front of him, which looked like avocado essence. Hulk. Abomination was not angry but happy. Affected by 3 different forces, his mind changed, and defeating Hulk became an obsession that he could not give up in his heart. What's so good about Banner, the weak chicken? Hulk is true love. The two bodies wrestled together. Bang, 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 bang bang. Boom bang bang. At first, Abomination was on top and Hulk was on the bottom, pressed to the ground and rubbed, without even the ability to resist. He was not as strong as Abomination, and he did not have hard bone armor on his body. When his fist hit Abomination, it was not others who felt pain, but himself. Punch after punch, Hulk's rage value skyrocketed, his momentum continued to rise, and he beat Abomination in turn. The two monsters fought back and forth. They jumped hundreds or thousands of meters high, and then fell heavily. Deep pits were smashed into the ground one after another. TSK, is this the legendary using the sky as a blanket and the earth as a bed? Lao Wang shook his head in admiration. This is simply an earthquake. Abomination is worthy of being Bronski. The combat experience and combat skills of a top special forces soldier are not much different from those of Black Widow Hawkeye. With the same 10 points of strength, Hulk can only use 8 points, while Abomination can use at least 12 points. Although the rage value is rising, Hulk is still in a bad situation. When monsters of the same level fight, injuries are always inevitable. Lao Wang hooked his fingers, and the true key carried the bone fragments and blood that fell from the two people and floated in front of him. Hulk contributed most of it. It added up to about 20 kilograms. How much is it worth? A wisp of spirit enters the Heart of Azeroth and exchanges 10 milligrams of blood of Azeroth appears. Chapter 262, The Master of Infinite Treasures, Part 1. 10 milligrams of Azeroth's blood is worth $100 million, equivalent to 10 kilograms of vibranium. 20 kilograms of the unknown liquid mixture of the Hulk and the Abomination actually exchanged for so much Azeroth's blood, and the exchange ratio with vibranium reached an astonishing 2:1. What does this mean? It means that the nearly 1 ton of the Abomination's body is worth $5 billion. Of course, if the Abomination is sold as a whole, the value of the living creature will definitely be much more expensive than selling it separately, 10 times as much as possible, and it can be exchanged for about 5 grams of Azeroth's blood, which is equivalent to a quarter of the immortal dragon's dragon bone. Only a fool would do that. It is better to keep it well fed, and sell blood to make more money. You can't kill it if you want to get the wool, right? The blood content of ordinary people is about 7-8% of their body weight, and blood donations cannot exceed 400 cc, otherwise it will have an impact on the body. The physical fitness of the Abomination is far superior to that of ordinary people, and its recovery ability is amazing. Its weight is about 10 times that of ordinary people. Assuming that the proportion of blood in the Abomination is the same as that of humans, then the total body blood is about 70 kilograms. Donating 10 kilograms of blood at one time should be no problem. As long as you eat enough, you can recover in a few days. Add the stratum corneum, bone armor and skin, as well as other unknown liquids, and you should be able to make up 20 kilograms. The cost of nutrition is almost negligible. Although it may be necessary to irradiate with gamma rays to replenish the amount of gamma radiation in the body and quickly restore the quality of blood, it is not important. The relevant instruments are available in the laboratory and the cost is very low. In other words, it only takes a few days to make $100 million. In a year, at least several billion $, equivalent to the net profit of Azeroth Industries or Azeroth Social Network Company in 1 year. How can this be called Abomination? This is clearly a money printing machine. Not enough. Lao Wang quickly regained his composure. Just a few billion US dollars. How much? The output of Abomination for 100 years can only match that of Stark Industries, which is nothing more than that. Not to mention the rich Black Panther who owns 10,000 tons of vibranium. He is the richest man in Marvel Earth. The value of vibranium alone exceeds 100 trillion US dollars, which is more than the annual GDP of all countries in the world. Moreover, Wakanda now relies on more than vibranium. His technological level is no worse than Stark Industries, and it is more comprehensive. He has investments all over the world, and billions of US dollars flow into Wakanda every year. The value of any legendary equipment in World of Warcraft is more than 100 billion US dollars, which is much more valuable than the Abomination. The equipment of the Blood Elf Prince Kealthus at his peak is worth more than 1 trillion. Thinking of this, Lao Wang's enthusiasm instantly fell to the bottom. It's boring. He sighed and raised his hand. A big hand of true energy appeared and slapped the Abomination away. Hulk, who was pressed to the ground and ravaged, seized the opportunity and immediately counterattacked. With Lao Wang's help, the balance of victory quickly tilted towards Hulk. After tossing for half an hour, the Abomination finally fell to the ground with a muffled groan and fainted neatly. Hulk had no power to destroy his body, but the repeated beatings had consumed his spirit. Compared to his physical strength, his mental fragility was almost negligible, even worse than the secret wizard of Kamataj. Be good, the sun is setting. Be obedient. Uncle Wang will definitely let you come out to play more often in the future. Banner has no say. I'll give you a lollipop next time. Lao Wang walked to Hulk while humming a lullaby, floated up and rubbed his head. Sweet. Big. Hulk gestured with both hands, looking reluctant. Children are playful. It's not easy to get out, and it's been less than an hour, so of course he doesn't want to go back. However, after a big battle, his anger value was consumed a lot, and he couldn't resist Lao Wang's mental influence. In addition, he trusted Lao Wang more, listened to Lao Wang's promise, slowly relaxed, fell down softly, and turned into a naked Banner. Sky turned his back quickly. The scene was too beautiful to watch. Betty screamed and rushed over, waving his hand to collect the scattered spoils. Lao Wang did not exchange them, but put them into a bottle and handed it to Betty. These are the best experimental materials, which are very useful for their subsequent research. It should take some time for the Abomination to wake up. This small island is hundreds of kilometers away from the nearest Puerto Rico. No matter how fast the Abomination is, it will take a long time to get ashore. Let Fitz get a monitoring device to watch it, or directly put a monitoring chip into his body. As long as it is small enough, he will not be able to find it. If it doesn't work, let the Crimson Magic Belt come to check from time to time. The essence of Azeroth flows through the body, and the ability of this fake magic belt is amplified, from ordinary legendary equipment to advanced legendary items. It is hard to say whether it can tie up the angry Hulk, but it is definitely no problem to tie up the Abomination. There is food everywhere in the sea. As long as the Abomination does not want to starve to death, it will find food for itself. Lao Wang is not worried about this. When the body recovers, let Banner transform into the Hulk and beat him up. It can not only bleed, but also help Banner vent his emotions, and also help Hulk accumulate combat experience, killing 3 bads with 1 stone. Even if Banner doesn't want to, Sky can do it. Shockwave is good at long range attacks, and it is no problem for her to use a kite to deal with a mere Abomination. Moreover, as long as the frequency is adjusted, it is completely possible to shatter the bone armor and skin blood vessels and bleed. If the Abomination is beaten to the point of doubting life one day, it doesn't matter. At most, it can be controlled and forced to inject nutrient solution, which is not a difficult task. In short, Lao Wang is now raising the Abomination like a pig. A sparring partner who can't bleed is not a good Abomination, and he did a good job in this regard. Back to the Azeroth laboratory, Lao Wang was about to exercise with Sky, exercise to defend the motherland, and adjust the endocrine system to contribute to the reproduction of mankind. Suddenly he saw Sky raising his mobile phone. "Wang, the thing you have been asking me to pay attention to has happened," Sky said. Drive Eric Shavig and his research team discovered a flare in the Earth's atmosphere in New Mexico and notified SHIELD. Director Fury has sent Agent Coulson there, and he should be on the way. After a 2-second pause, she continued, SHIELD dispatched a Quinjet. There were 3 other people who went there at the same time as Agent Coulson, Captain Rogers, Agent Romanoff, and Agent Barton. TSK. The entire Avengers are dispatched. Is this necessary? Old Wang shook his head. It was a big commotion. It would have been enough to just dispatch Coulson, and at most Hawkeye, who had nothing to do. The main task of the Avengers at this stage is to deal with the remnants of Hydra and help countries around the world fight terrorist organizations. The former is the responsibility of SHIELD, and the latter is a pie transaction between Ludan and countries around the world in exchange for benefits. Captain America obviously doesn't know this. He is responsible for justice and honor, tactics, and offense. Those shady and shameless activities are naturally left to the Black Widow, who has no bottom line. For example, when helping to deal with the Hulk this time, Fury didn't know what kind of deal he had reached with General Ross. Maybe it was related to money, maybe it was related to power, of course. It was also possible that he just wanted to sell a favor. General Ross's favor was not ordinary. At the critical moment, he would not change it for $10 billion. The Avengers are Fury's cash cow. Now he is leaving so much money unearned and running to New Mexico to see an atmospheric flare whose specific situation is still unknown. Ludan didn't know what the so-called flare meant, and he didn't know that soon a god and a hammer that no one could lift would fall from the sky. However, the agent's experience and intuition still made him realize the importance of this matter and sent the Avengers. Who are you guarding against? Do you need to ask? Lao Wang laughed and said it didn't matter. It can't be guarded against. Don't worry, he said. There is a spell from the god King Odin on Thor's hammer. Only those who are recognized by the hammer can pick it up, not even the Hulk. Of course, as long as the strength reaches the same level as Odin, it doesn't matter, even if it is slightly worse. For example, Hela and Thanos are both capable of resisting the power of Thor's hammer, and the former can even crush it easily. This is not important. It's just an artifact, and its value will not be higher than the levitation cloak or the crimson magic belt of Sitorak. It's not a glove or a stick, so it has no appeal to Lao Wang. Artifacts are very different from artifacts. Thor's hammer can only be considered a relatively low grade, and it would be better to replace it with Stormbreaker. Odin's scepter and the gun of eternity are barely enough, and even the sword in Heimdall's hand is more attractive than Meowhammer. What he cares more about now is another guy, Thor. Artifacts are just artifacts after all, external objects. Thor has never been a god of hammers. He is Thor, the god of thunder and strength in Norse mythology, the rightful heir to the domain of God. His power comes from himself, not from Asgard. In terms of potential, he is actually more powerful than Odin. Asgard will inevitably be destroyed because of him. There are only 2 places on Earth that are attractive enough for Lao Wang. One is Wakanda and the other is Kamataj. The former has tens of thousands of tons of vibranium and high technology that is ahead of all other countries, and the latter has at least 10 artifacts, including the crucial Eye of Agamotto. But if you focus on the entire 9 realms, there is a place that is obviously more attractive than the 2 combined. Odin's treasury in Asgard. It contains the most precious treasures in the entire 9 realms, and Thor, the god of thunder, is the future owner of those treasures. Chapter 263 People are walking on the ground, hammers are coming from the sky. Part 2. Punta Tica, New Mexico. A small town with a population of less than 5,000. The night was dark, and thick clouds covered the moon and stars, and the whole world fell into darkness. Outside the deserted town, only 2 lights were constantly moving. It was a scientific research vehicle. The roof was opened, and a man and a woman carried the equipment on it, and then held the computer to adjust and monitor. The readings are increasing. Jane Foster, with golden hair, looked at the constantly changing red numbers on the handheld instrument, and muttered to herself, "This is it, the center of the atmospheric flare." The atmospheric flare was discovered in the morning, and through the channel of Professor Eric Shavig, SHIELD was directly notified, and then the professor and his friend and assistant Daisy Louise drove here. One for scientific research, one to avoid discouraging students' enthusiasm, one purely for credits. However, after waiting for 5 minutes, There was still no change in the sky. Where is the cyclone? Can I turn on the radio? Daisy turned her head and asked, who was a little bored. No. Jane refused decisively. This must be a rare discovery. We must not give up, and must not be disturbed. Strange. Logically, the 17th cyclone should have appeared. Why didn't it appear? Did I calculate the data wrong? Jane, we shouldn't stay here. Professor Eric Shavag couldn't help but persuade. In his opinion, it was unnecessary and meaningless for an astronomer to chase storms in such a place. You are not a wind chaser. This is not what an astronomer should do. Scientists can devote themselves to science, but it cannot be meaningless. I said that there must be a connection between the two. Jane was as persistent as ever. Eric, I don't ask you to fly up there to observe like Iron Man, but I promise that this time we will not come in vain. Jane? Daisy interrupted. I think you should take a look at that. Her voice was actually trembling with uncontrollable excitement. The two looked over at the same time. The sky not far away was dyed blue by an unknown astronomical phenomenon. The light blue light shone through the thick clouds, forming circular lines, and there were even smaller and more delicate runes in the lines. Everything combined to form a circular pattern that was so huge that it was unimaginable. Daisy, I thought you were talking about the aurora. Eric whispered. The wind started. It was getting stronger and stronger. The clouds in the sky surged, as if stirred by an invisible giant hand, forming a cyclone that was 100 times stronger than before. Is this what is called an atmospheric flare? This is a storm, a terrifying storm that has never been recorded in the entire history of mankind. Go! Jane shouted. The three of them quickly retreated and started the car. Hurry, we must get closer. The closer the better. Jane looked excited. This will be the most meaningful astronomical discovery this year, which will be very helpful for the topic he is studying. Many phenomena that the entire astronomical community cannot understand may be explained. The car was very fast and got closer and closer to the center of the storm. Suddenly, boom. An extremely terrible airflow swept in, and sand and rocks flew everywhere. What is that? A swelling airflow fell from the sky, raising dust all over the sky. The shock wave generated by the collision with the earth caused the dust to spread in all directions. The light blue light illuminated the entire airflow. It didn't look like a tornado, but more like a column of air that went through the sky and the earth. In the column of air was a rainbow-like light, and there were endless fine lightning in the middle. How could this be possible? I don't want to die for a few credits. Daisy stepped on the brakes to slow down, and then turned quickly. Jane rushed to grab the steering wheel. The two women started a fight. The car continued to move in the direction of the storm. Eric held the door handle tightly, ready to jump out of the car at any time. It's okay for a female driver to drive. Some female drivers are better than male drivers. The problem is, don't grab it. There is a passenger behind you. In the constantly changing light, a figure fell from the sky. Boom. The figure collided with the car. The huge force made the two women loosen their hands, and the steering wheel spun, and the whole car turned 180 degrees. Then, what is that? Jane, who had calmed down, got out of the car quickly. I hit someone. I actually hit someone. No, someone hit me. It's none of my business. Daisy was going crazy. I was driving. Jane, why are you trying to grab the steering wheel? You're screwed. I won't go to jail, will I? Wait. I should file a claim. He hit me first. Go get the first aid kit. Jane was obviously more stable and rushed over with a flashlight. Eric hurriedly followed. Two strong lights focused, and a disheveled man appeared in front of everyone. Please don't die. Jane squatted down to check and was stunned. This man was not injured. The car was going so fast. The front of the car was flattened, but this man was fine. Touch his arms and legs. They are not broken. Look at his face. It's not disfigured. Touch, it's not broken either. Is this really a person? The most important thing is, where did he come from? At that time, there was only a stream of air falling from the sky in front of him, and nothing else. Could it be from the sky? Wait. Where is that stream of air? Where was the beam of light? It was all gone in an instant. The blue light in the sky also disappeared, and the clouds began to return to normal. Am I dreaming? Huff. Just as she was thinking, she heard a gasp. The burly blonde man with strange clothes and sprawled out finally woke up. Raising his hand and drawing an orange donut, Lao Wang took a step out and came to New Mexico. Because he had never been here before, the accuracy of the portal was problematic, and it was far from the coordinates given by Sky. It didn't matter. As long as he was still in New Mexico, he could release his mental power to cover the entire area and sense the abnormality of the atmosphere. But there was no need. The dazzling beam of light was like a 10,000 watt light bulb in the night sky, as bright as it could be. The transmission method of the Rainbow Bridge. It's really fucking showy. Asgard's Rainbow Bridge, equivalent to a low-profile version of the Cosmic Cube, is definitely a unique wonder in the entire universe. By drawing the power of Asgard itself, anyone can be teleported to any place in the 9 realms, or to Asgard. Be sure to go and see it, if you have a chance. The tradition of the panda people has always been eating 100 meals, and traveling 1,000 miles, taking into account both food and travel. As a former panda man, Lao Wang decided to carry forward this tradition in the Marvel world. It seems that I'm a little late. The Eric trio has already hooked up with Thor. Originally planned to intercept Thor directly in the atmosphere and abduct him without anyone noticing, but I didn't expect to be a step late. Of course, this is not important. As the director of the Schengen Bureau, it is normal to ask 3 astronomers to cooperate with the work. Just as he was about to do this, Lao Wang suddenly stopped. Look up at the sky. Infinite storms are coming one after another, and a flash of lightning is wrapped in lightning, and the thick clouds are instantly pierced. A pair of golden eyes suddenly widened. A golden scepter was clenched again. A hammer fell from the sky. Chapter 264. This person is definitely not Thor. First update. Thor opened his eyes and saw a beautiful face. Unlike ordinary women in Asgard, she was not so gentle. Unlike the goddess Sif, she was not so heroic. The two different beauties blended into one, which made her a neutral beauty that appealed to both men and women. To be honest, it was quite attractive. It was like staying in a big city for a long time, eating delicacies from the mountains and the sea every day, and occasionally going to the countryside to see the local customs and eat some wild fruits and vegetables. It was still good to change the taste. Thor felt that he was charmed for 10 seconds, and then he came back to his senses and got up. Now is not the time to pick up girls. I'm not in the mood, and I don't seem to have any skills in this area. I have lived for 1,500 years, and my love history has never been 0. I broke the record of Asgard in the past 5,000 years. I topped the list of unmarried men in the 9 realms. I'm a real diamond Liu. As for whether there was a longer time without love 5,000 years ago, because the history is too long, it is no longer possible to verify. The lifespan of Asgardians is only a short 5,000 years. Who knows what happened in the past? Thor looked around. Everything here is unfamiliar. Where am I? As the crown prince of Asgard, he has spent most of his adult life in constant war. Asgard is becoming more and more powerful under the rule of his father Odin. The entire 9 realms have to obey his orders. Odin's divine power rules the entire universe. Under his rule, no villain dares to invade the 9 realms, including the 3 major empires in the universe. In Odin's heyday, there was no one more powerful than him in the entire universe, and at most they could only compete with him. However, Odin is old. He is about to complete his 5,000-year life journey and return to Asgard. As Odin's eldest son, Thor is the first heir. Today was originally his succession ceremony. He is about to become the ruler of the most perfect country in this universe, the owner of countless treasures, the owner of Odin's scepter and the eternal spear, the nominal master of the 9 realms, obtain Odin's divine power, and merge with Asgard. Become the most powerful existence in this universe. However, the invasion of the frost giants destroyed everything. He was exiled because of his different ideas, and was deprived of his power by Odin himself, and even lost his hammer. Wait, where's my hammer? I'm the god of thunder. Thor can live without a throne, a queen, or a woman, but how can he live without a hammer? Where's the hammer? Where's my hammer? He was anxious and looked around. Odin only summoned the Rainbow Bridge once, and the hammer should not fall far from here. He had experience. No one paid attention to him, including Jane, who had just completed a 10-second mind-to-mind look. a staggering drunkard. Even if there is something strange, it should be the concern of SHIELD or the police department. I'm an astronomer. She quickly discovered the abnormality. Eric, look. The beam of light created a complex burning pattern on the ground, exactly the same as the blue light in the sky just now. What do these patterns represent? Could it be the secret of the universe and time and space? We must take a picture before it is destroyed. The three of them got busy around the pattern. Jane was in charge of taking photos, Daisy was in charge of measuring, and Eric was in charge of supervision. Thor, who was ignored, felt that the connection between him and Meowhammer was cut off, and he felt very sad. I fought hard for 1,000 years and was expelled from my own territory. Now, even the weapon that I never left was taken away. Odin, you don't love me anymore? Father, I'm right. Everything I do is for Asgard. You did the same when you were young. You make the whole universe fear. You conquered the 9 realms with force. I will be like you. Thor shouted, his voice as sad as it could be. No one paid attention to him. Thor was sure that Odin was always watching him, but he just ignored him. He was so sad and upset. His father was unreliable, and it seemed that he could only ask his subordinates. He shouted again, Heimdall, I know you can see it. Open the rainbow bridge quickly, and let me go back. Still no one paid attention to him. Thor felt sad, and felt as if he had been abandoned. So desolate and helpless. Is this guy stupid? Is there something wrong with his brain? Should he be sent to the hospital? Daisy's eyes flickered, and she was panicking. Father, Asgard, universe, Rainbow Bridge. Are they making a movie? A Norse-myth version of Clash of the Titans? This guy is so strong. If he wants to do something, the three of us can't stop him. But he seems to be quite handsome. If he really wants to do something, should I resist? When I was in school, the teacher said that, if you encounter a robbery or rape, it is best not to resist. Life safety comes first, and nothing else matters. Daisy took a deep breath, and grabbed the electric shock device taken from the car. She felt that she was mentally prepared. Come on, I'm not afraid. You send him, I'll stay here. Jane didn't even raise her head. Men and things are not important. Scientific research is the most important. Limited life cannot be used for love, but should be invested in unlimited scientific research to contribute to human development and technological progress. Hey, who's that? Tell me which country this is? Alfheim? Jotunheim? Thor glanced at the three people and finally decided to ask the first person he saw when he opened his eyes. Just like a little duck will regard the first thing it sees when it opens its eyes as its mother, he felt that the woman was very kind. Thinking of this, he remembered his mother. It's true that this woman is really like his mother, with a weak appearance and a strong heart. It's really like a mother. No wonder I'm attracted to her. New Mexico, psycho. Daisy answered with a stun gun. You dare to threaten me, Thor? And with such a cheap weapon? Thor laughed in anger. I'm Thor. Even if I'm exiled, I'm still Thor, the hammer god who controls thunder. Even if I stand here and let you shock me for 1,000 years, I lose if I frown. Swish. A 40,000 volt high voltage pulse hit Thor. He groaned and fell to the ground unconscious. Eric and Jane were stunned. Don't look at me like that. I'm just nervous. Daisy muttered, with good reasons. Jane shook her head. Forget it. He's just a mental patient, and the electric shock will only make him unconscious. There's no irreparable damage. Just send him to the hospital and call the police. Anyway, we have surveillance, so we are not afraid of being blackmailed. Eric, help me. The two rolled up their sleeves. One lifted his legs and the other raised his head, but found that they couldn't lift him at all. Why is this person so heavy? Although Jean had no idea about weight, this person was not very tall, and no matter how strong he was, he shouldn't weigh more than 100 kilograms. It's probably only 70-80 kilograms, but lifting him was like lifting an old sow. At least 200 kilograms. Daisy, can you choose a place to shock him next time, such as tricking him into the car first? Come and help. Jane scolded hurriedly, but she found that Daisy was terrified, with one hand trembling and pointing in a certain direction. Jane looked over hurriedly. What did she see? A storm that was 10 or 100 times more terrifying than before appeared. It was as if the storms of the whole world were gathering at this moment. Thousands and tens of thousands of lightning bolts illuminated the sky into daylight. Even from such a distance, it could be seen clearly. The dark clouds covered the sky and blocked out the sun. It enveloped the town and the area of hundreds of kilometers. Eric, this should be the biggest storm in the world in 50 years, right? Jane opened her mouth slightly, her chest rising and falling. Such a terrible storm. I'm afraid it can easily destroy the whole town. No. This is the biggest storm in human history. Eric was stunned. More than just a town. If the storm appeared in New York, the whole city would be reduced to ruins. No, I said. Why are you all standing there? Is this the time to care about this? Daisy couldn't bear it anymore and couldn't help shouting. Storm. Doomsday-like storm. Did you see that tornado? So thick, so black, so long, so scary. Did you see so many lightning bolts? As long as one of them hits here, we will be dead. Dead. The two trembled all over. What you said makes sense. Hurry, get him in the car. Eric shouted. Hey, where's Jane? He looked back and saw Jane actually ran to the car, holding an astronomical telescope and pointing it at the center of the storm. Are you crazy? Daisy was in a bad mood. Observing and studying at this time. Don't care about your life. I haven't got a boyfriend yet, and I haven't contributed to the reproduction of mankind yet. Don't worry about him. Let's get this guy in the car. Eric urged. 1, 2, 3. Work harder. 4, 5, 6. Go forward. The two continued to work hard, sweating profusely. No one noticed that Jane's slightly opened mouth was getting bigger and bigger, and soon she could stuff a fried dough stick and 2 eggs. In that storm. There's a hammer. There's another person. It was a slightly fat figure with a strong and tall man's outline. The sky was decorated with lightning and surrounded by thick clouds. He looked like a person born in the storm. Storm spirit? A hammer that looked like it was cast by lightning fell from the sky and fell straight towards the man, just like a divine weapon looking for its owner. Jane couldn't help but turn her head to look at the blonde man on the ground. Although this man is crazy, some of what he said might be true. In the past, as an astronomer, she would definitely not believe in Norse mythology. But the facts are in front of her. Doesn't Thor use a hammer? The blonde muscular man is so weak, he is definitely not the Thor in Norse mythology. Most likely he is Thor's subordinate, one of lower status. Not even a vanguard general, at most a scout, who comes to check the situation before the real boss appears. She was no longer interested in looking at him, but turned her gaze back to the telescope, to the distant sky, to the hammer in the center of the infinite storm, and to the man, whose face she could not see clearly. She was extremely excited. Could he be the legendary Thor? Really? So handsome. Chapter 265 Odin, You've Crossed the Line. Part 2. The wind started to blow. It was getting stronger and stronger, and soon exceeded level 12. The endless raging wind tried to sweep Lao Wang up to the sky, accelerating him relative to the falling Thor's hammer, and having an intimate contact in a foreign country. Lao Wang stood with his hands behind his back, motionless. When he stood on the ground, he merged with the earth, and possessed endless power. As long as he didn't want to, no one could make him leave. Thousands and tens of thousands of lightning bolts were brewing, converging on Thor's hammer from all directions. This artifact with a glorious history was constantly charging like a power bank. Every time a lightning bolt struck the hammer, the runes on it became brighter. And when all the tens of millions of lightning bolts struck Thor's hammer really looked like it was cast by thunder, with white light all over it, radiating light. A will that was more terrifying than the Ancient One locked Lao Wang firmly, forcing him to mobilize all his spirit, to fight against the one-eyed god who came from who knows how many light years away, the eye of the god king filled with thunder. Silent, majestic, with the vicissitudes of ancient times, and the scrutiny and torture of the father of the universe. This kind of eyes, in this universe, is the first time that Lao Wang has seen. Unlike the Supreme Sorcerer Ancient One, he is calm, with the fury of 5,000 years. But in another world, he has seen it countless times, and has looked at other people with the same eyes countless times, so he is naturally not unfamiliar, let alone afraid. There is even some intimacy and nostalgia. compared with the one eye that seems to have infinite divine power. The other pair of golden pupils that can see through the 9 realms can be ignored. Lao Wang will not even look at it a second time. Tens of thousands of lightnings crisscrossed, forming a magic circle similar to the teleportation blockade barrier, blocking the space within a radius of hundreds of kilometers. If you want to use teleportation in this situation, it is impossible without the strength of Ancient One. Even if Doctor Strange returns from 2018 to the present, he will never be able to do it. This is the ability of the Supreme Sorcerer level. There are not many such existences in the universe. Odin. Feeling the absolute suppression from the spiritual level, Lao Wang groaned. That old guy did it on purpose. He avoided the storm at the beginning. The center of the storm was clearly 100 meters away. Why did Thor's hammer suddenly change direction and fly towards him? And what a coincidence, it landed right on his head. The most important thing is, Thor's hammer was originally thrown by Odin casually, just like throwing garbage. At most it would make a deep pit on the ground, attracting a lot of curious people, and then compete to see who is stronger and who can pull out the hammer. What about now? What's the matter with the thunder that destroys the world? Why is it not staring at your precious son, but at me instead? Odin, what the hell did I provoke you? I'm not interested in that broken hammer, nor am I interested in that idiot fat otaku in your family. Humph. Lao Wang looked unkind. He knew what Odin meant by thinking with his ass. This should be a warning. Lao Wang really didn't know whether he should feel honored to be warned by the Lord of the 9 Realms, King Odin. The other party's meaning is very simple. This time is a test for my baby son. The purpose is to let him recognize himself, awaken a stronger power, and thus obtain the qualification to become the king of the gods. Outsiders are not allowed to interfere. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. The problem is, Odin, you still have time to warn me? Do you still have the ability to warn me? Calculating the time, you will fall into a deep sleep soon, right? Do you really think I'm afraid of you? Come on, hurt each other. Don't be polite to me. Lord of the 9 Realms, King of Asgard, Master of the Eternal Spear, Father above the gods, the strongest in this universe, conqueror and slaughterer of countless worlds, an absolute strong man with full attributes, a great man that makes Thanos afraid and dare not invade the earth. You old boom. When the last note sounded, Lao Wang began a comprehensive transformation from body to soul. The howling wind rushed into his body, turning into pure storm element, and then drilled out again, condensing into a brand new storm body. The second Lao Wang appeared. Elements separated. This is one of the ultimate skills of the Pandaren monk. After being stripped by Lao Wang, only one of the 4 element was taken and transformed into the storm spirit. The thunder and lightning in the sky originally existed only because of Thor's hammer, but now a large part of it has been attracted by the storm spirit. Tens of thousands of lightning bolts fell one after another, charging the storm spirit. The body is the imprisonment of the soul. The weak body forced Lao Wang's soul to fall into a deep sleep, and he could only use less than 3%. But now, Lao Wang has broken free from the imprisonment of the body. He transferred a small part of his soul to the storm spirit. Of course, a mere elemental incarnation cannot carry all of his soul, but it is enough to deal with the current situation. The storm spirit opened his eyes. One eye is a pool of thunder, and a pair of electric eyes is a whole world. The world of thunder and lightning. It raised its eyes, and looked at the eye of Odin. With the help of the transmission channel opened by the Rainbow Bridge, the 2 souls that transcend the mortal world clashed for the first time. The spiritual battle in the invisible world. The lightning storm summoned by Odin across countless light years lost control due to Lao Wang's interference, and was divided between Thor's hammer and storm spirit. The residents of the entire town and even several surrounding towns woke up from their sleep and got out of their beds and looked up. They could not see the storm spirit and Thor's hammer, but they could see countless lightning bolts condensing in 2 places, one above and one below, and turned into 2 balls of lightning that were getting bigger and brighter. In addition to Jane, who brought her own astronomical telescope, there were other spectators in this peak showdown. Pairs of eyes crossed the barriers of thousands of miles of space and cast their gazes on the thunder prison in the sky. One pair came from Kamataj. One pair came from Kunlun. One pair came from Wakanda. There were also several pairs from other places unknown to mortals. Odin? What is he doing here? The same question appeared in the minds of Ancient One, Xiaolao, Bast, and several other beings at the same time. The next moment, they heard a voice at the same time. This is Earth, not Midgard. This is a territory of the Supreme Sorcerer and all the people on Earth, not a colony of Asgard. This is my territory. Odin, you've crossed the line. Boom. The storm spirit flew up against the sky and raised his left hand. The power of wind and lightning gathered in his palm at the same time, turning into a sharp blade. The blade grew in the wind, getting bigger and bigger, and finally turned into a giant sword. It was not the Windseeker's blessed sword named Thunder's Fury, which did not imprison a wind elemental demigod who was no less than Thor. It was just a condensation of wind and lightning, without a physical body. But it was enough. The next moment, the storm spirit raised his sword and pierced the blazing light. Chapter 266. Why is he everywhere? 1/5. Washington, Shield Trident Headquarters. Director's Office. Ludin didn't sleep all night. The impact of the Hulk and Abomination Bronski incident continued to ferment. The World Security Council held an emergency meeting. The President of the United States called in person. The Secretary of Defense and the Commissioner of the New York Police Department called twice in succession. The meaning of all aspects was very clear. This matter is under the jurisdiction of S.H.I.E.L.D. Damn it. Ross was the one who caused the trouble. The Hulk and Abomination were taken away by Director Wang. Why should I clean up the mess? Humph, do you really think I don't know? Ross, the surname Wang. Tell me, how many benefits have you given me, and how many times have you found someone to do it behind my back? Finally, he was almost done with his work. Ludin rubbed his one eye and lay on the desk, intending to take a nap, to come back to his senses. Suddenly, a gentle and mechanical female voice sounded. Communication request. Secure line 404. Ludin woke up instantly. It was Agent Romanov. Didn't I send her to New Mexico? Isn't it just a cyclone and a flare? This is a report late at night, and it is a secure line that must be answered at any time. Could there be any changes? He sat up quickly and said in a deep voice, connect. Zzz. In a series of electromagnetic noises, the projection of Black Widow appeared, as blurry as it could be. Sir. Black Widow said, we are still 100 kilometers away from the target location. There has been a huge storm that has never appeared in human history. The electromagnetic interference is serious. Most of the instruments are malfunctioning. The Quinjet cannot get close. Storm. Ludin looked at the screen. The artificial intelligence that had just been upgraded by Tony was very smart. It connected to the weather satellite at the first time, and the real-time weather map appeared. Later, the local TV station in New Mexico was also connected, and the fearless reporter brought the latest news and the latest photos. Looking at the rotating air mass covering half of New Mexico and the endless lightning, Ludin's heart skipped a beat and frowned. Cancel the plan, evacuate immediately, and wait until the storm is over before carrying out the mission. Although the Quinjet has a stabilization system to prevent electromagnetic interference, it can't withstand lightning. If the plane is struck by lightning, the loss of a Quinjet is nothing. If the people on the plane die, he will be in great pain. Sir, Captain Rogers wants to talk to you. The projection quickly turned into Captain America, and he said in a deep voice, Sir, this storm is not right. It concerns the lives and safety of hundreds of thousands of people. I must go and have a look. Ludin was silent for 2 seconds. This is very dangerous, Captain. If you are struck by lightning, you will die. Compared to such a large storm area, the frequency of lightning is not very high, sir, and I have a vibranium shield, Captain America said. Seeing Captain America's firm attitude, Ludin had to say, Captain, be careful. I will. Captain America hung up. Ludin rubbed his one eye. Just as Captain America said, this matter is not that simple. He even had some doubts. Is it related to Director Wang? That guy seems to be able to summon storms and lightning. Connect me to Director Wang of the Schengen Bureau. Ludin said. Connecting. Due to electromagnetic interference, communication failed. Electromagnetic interference? Mr. Wang, you are really at the scene. Ludin took a deep breath. Get me Sky, the director of the operations department of the SHIELD. Captain, good luck. In order to save time, the Quinjet did not land, but flew at a low altitude. Black Widow opened the door, and the fully armed Captain America jumped down, with a perfect forward roll to unload the force, and rushed towards the center of the storm. Black Widow's face changed, and Hawkeye was eager to try. Agent Barton, Agent Romanoff, you don't have a vibranium shield, nor have you been injected with super soldier serum. Coulson thought it was not good, and hurriedly stopped him. I'm the commander of this operation. My authority is higher than yours. You can't act on your own. This is an order. The two looked at each other, and decided to give Coulson a face. There was no way. He was an old man of SHIELD, the director's confidant. The relationship was as close as it could be. Black Widow turned her head to fly the plane, and Barton looked out the window. Suddenly his eyes narrowed. A deep surprise appeared on his face. Natasha, Coulson, what is that? The two looked over quickly, and were slightly stunned. Those were two balls of lightning. At such a distance, they certainly couldn't see what was in the center of the ball lightning. But if you look closely, you will find that the two balls of lightning are not standard spheres, and seem to be deformed for some reason. One looks a bit like a hammer. The other looks a bit like a person. A very fat person. Do you think that the ball of lightning below looks like a person? Hawkeye, who has the best eyesight, asked first. Coulson and Black Widow nodded silently. Isn't it very similar? It's simply a fat version of Director Wang. Wait. Could it be that guy? Why is he everywhere? Boom. This moment attracted everyone's attention. Those who were attracted out of fear, curiosity, or various other reasons looked up at the sky. In the storm that was rich and destructive, two balls of lightning were getting bigger and more dazzling. As the storm spirit and Thor's hammer continued to absorb and condense, they finally lost all their external brilliance and became similar to their original bodies. As the hammer and human figure became clearer and clearer, people felt an indescribable sense of absurdity. What was that? An unprecedented sky phenomenon? An ancient hammer cultivator who transcended the tribulation and ascended to heaven? A story between man and hammer that had to be told? Or a living myth? It's Thor. No, it's our country's thunder god. Lei Zenzi. Nonsense. It must be a tribulation. I said that cultivating immortals is real. Don't stop me. I want to go to Shaolin. I want to go to Wudang. I want to go to Langhu Mountain. I won't get married. I want to cultivate immortals. Stop it. It must be the US government conducting some messed up experiments again. Why do I feel like Tony Stark is causing trouble again? Young people chatted in groups or took photos, while the elderly knelt down and silently chanted Jade Emperor Guana in Bodhisattva Yu King Thunder King Tathagata Buddha Allah God Jehovah Amaterasu, as pious as they could be. By the way, pray for your daughter-in-law and granddaughter-in-law to give birth to a bunch of big fat boys. And those who have seen Director Wang silently admired in their hearts. Why is he everywhere? Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, a man and a hammer finally collided. The sudden burst of electromagnetic pulse destroyed all electromagnetic equipment nearby. In the entire New Mexico area, all satellites and aircraft were scrapped, and mobile phones and computers were also affected. Even the Quinjet, which had a strong ability to resist electromagnetic interference, was shaky. Coulson, Black Widow and Hawkeye had to choose to make an emergency landing. Looking at the Quinjet that was about to become a tattered piece, I felt sorry for the director silently. The two balls of lightning became one ball, and countless electric snakes shot in all directions, illuminating the entire sky. The next moment, the man and the hammer separated. The hammer-shaped lightning shot towards the higher sky, and the human-shaped lightning followed closely. Boom. Boom. The two balls of lightning chased and fought at a very fast speed in the sky. Every time the hammer-shaped lightning was knocked away, at least once every second. Every time they collided, the light of the hammer-shaped lightning would dim a little, and the light of the human-shaped lightning would be stronger. In just 1 minute, there were more than 100 battles. In the invisible spiritual world, the same battle was going on between Lao Wang and Odin. One was unable to exert his full strength because he was countless light years away, and the other was also limited because the storm spirit was not strong enough. Both of them were not in their peak state, attracting the attention of many bigwigs. Thanks to Long Live the Xiling Empire for the 2000 reward. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 267 Ancient One's Warning. 2/5. Many people on the entire planet are watching this battle. Of course, the Earth is not small, with a radius of more than 6,000 kilometers. There are not many people who are qualified and capable of watching the battle. The Supreme Mage Ancient One is of course one of them. New York, Hong Kong, and London. The network woven by the three major temples covers the entire Earth. It is not only to protect the Earth, but also to monitor the Earth. Any anomalies related to time and space will attract the attention of the mages. Not only the Supreme Mage Ancient One, the guardian mages of the three major temples, as well as those secret masters who are authorized to participate in the defense network, also noticed this war at the first time. After all, the storm covered half of New Mexico, and they are not blind. He seems to have become stronger again. In the Kamataj library, the Supreme Sorcerer Ancient One looked towards New Mexico and said to himself, to be able to manipulate the storm to this extent and to fight against Thor's hammer head on without losing, all the thunder gods of Kunlun could not do it. The new librarian Wang standing on the side nodded proudly. He is the real thunder god. I really don't know where his pride comes from. Is it because they both have the surname Wang, or because they are both slightly fat? There is also a little envy in his pride. Wang squinted his eyes. He said that the Earth is the territory of the Supreme Sorcerer, and he also said that the Earth is his territory. Isn't this a little too much? On par with the Supreme Sorcerer, and then warned Odin, and now he is fighting with Odin through the Rainbow Bridge, and two battlefields are fighting at the same time. Although there are countless light years between them, although Odin is only remotely controlling Thor's hammer Mjolnir, although most of his power is blocked by the defense network of the three major temples, and he can't even exert 1/10 of his strength, but, after all, he is the king of the gods. Just look at the storms and thunder in the sky. He is definitely stronger than that Thor. King, you are awesome. Thinking of Master Wang's declaration, Guyi showed a hint of appreciation on his face. She was not born when Odin conquered the 9 realms. Odin of that era was indeed the master of the 9 realms. Relying on force and the Rainbow Bridge, he forcibly connected the 9 planets located in various parts of the universe, and became the common ruler of the 9 realms. The Vanir, the dwarves, the dark elves, the frost giants, the fire giants, the underworld of Helheim. Odin ruled far more than 9 planets. Those who can be listed separately are all the best among them. Any one of them once had a father level existence, but they were defeated or killed by Odin, and fell one by one, and even the racial artifacts were taken away. The only exception is the Earth. Odin has never conquered the Earth. Asgard has never conquered the Earth. This ancient planet hides many secrets. There has never been a shortage of powerful people at the level of the Father God in history, and many people have set their sights on it. Odin is just one of them. There are also many who claim that the Earth is their territory. Odin may be one of the more powerful ones, but he is old. Kamataj and the 3 holy temples have been protecting the Earth, but the Earth has never been the territory of Agamotto or her Ancient One. The Earth is the territory of the Earthlings. Human beings are constantly progressing, and are about to leave the Earth. But compared with tens of thousands of advanced civilizations in the universe, they are still too weak, and must be protected by sufficiently powerful beings. There must be a powerful guardian. The Ancient One sighed. As long as she is alive, no one dares to invade the Earth, including Odin. But she is also old. The long-term casting of spells puts a great burden on the body, and gradually she can't bear it. Although the power of the dark dimension has prolonged her life, it has also brought other dangers. When I leave, who will protect this world? Xiaolao, the immortal dragon of Kunlun. Although it has been reborn, it is far from its peak state, and even if it recovers to its peak state, it is not qualified. Wakanda's Black Panther Goddess Buster? It has an endless lifespan, but its qualifications are a bit poor. Even if it is combined with the entire Wakanda, it is not a match for Thanos, let alone those more powerful beings. Grandmaster Wang might be a good choice. Thinking of this, Ancient One felt that it was time to support Grandmaster Wang and also to give Odin a warning. Her pupils were dim, and the 9 realms were reflected in them. She pressed her hand on the cauldron of the universe, the cauldron of all things, and her eyes swept through the 9 realms, as if a voice without any emotion sounded in the minds of Odin, Hela, Malekith, Laufey, Surtur, the Dwarf King Eitri, and even Dormammu, and the lords of the various hells. Odin, you have crossed the line. The seemingly calm voice was more terrifying than the simultaneous explosion of 10,000 nuclear warheads. The voice itself did not carry any power, but the owner of the voice made them all have to be wary. Although it was just a short sentence and only mentioned Odin, it was no different from killing a chicken to scare the monkeys. Odin is the chicken. They are monkeys. The earth belongs to me, Ancient One. Odin cannot cross the line, and neither can you. Otherwise, you must be prepared to have your hand cut off. All those who were warned snorted at the same time. HMPH, little girl, struggling to death. Ancient One, how long can you hold on? 10 years? 5 years? Or 1 year? The energy erosion of the dark dimension, it must be uncomfortable, right? Ancient One is old, Odin is old, and my seal should disappear. It's not time yet. Continue to sleep. Wait for the celestial bodies to reunite. The other particles will wake us up. The eternal night is coming. The best chance for the frost giants. Ragnarok, the prophesied day is coming, and Asgard will be destroyed by me. Who will protect the dwarves in the future, and who should we build artifacts for? The fate of the earth is to be swallowed by me. Hell is coming. The same voice sounded in Lao Wang's mind, and Director Wang felt warm in his heart. Sure enough, Gu Yi still has me in his heart. In the invisible spiritual world, Odin groaned, and his vast spiritual power instantly receded like a tide. Thor's hammer lost the control of its master, and was instantly knocked away by the wind sword. It fell to the northeast. Odin, is it no longer okay? Because of the battle with me, and the warning of Gu Yi, you fell into a deep sleep in advance. Lao Wang laughed. I didn't intend to steal Thor's hammer, and it's not a good thing. But since you took the initiative to provoke me, I'm sorry. Lao Wang was about to fly towards Thor's hammer. Suddenly he was stunned. Damn. This plot is completely ruined by me. He thought about it, and shook his head. A gentleman does not take away the beauty of others. Besides, it's just a broken hammer. It's nothing. There are at least 10 stronger ones in Asgard. How can a hammer be fun? The spirit of the storm merged into the body. Lao Wang simply identified the direction, and walked towards the direction where Thor fell. Suddenly he seemed to realize something. Staring into the distance. Looking at another person from a distance. Chapter 268. You are electricity. You are light. You are the only myth. 3/5. Through the astronomical telescope, Jane has been chasing the 2 lightning balls until the battle is over. The hammer was completely knocked away. Did that man, that god win? Strange, isn't Thor's weapon just a hammer? Could it be that his weapon rebelled? Jane felt a little puzzled, and always felt that there seemed to be something wrong with her guess. Can weapons betray? Or, is Thor just playing with a hammer? I don't understand. The spirit of scientific research is first of all the spirit of seeking truth from facts. Jane continued to observe, pursue the truth, and wanted to see the truth of the matter. Hey, that human-shaped lightning is falling. It's so fast, it disappeared in a second. Where did it go? Found it. It actually merged into a person's body. He is the real Thor. Ah, he is looking at me. His eyes are really discharging electricity. His eyes are so attractive. He is electricity. He is light. He is the only myth. I can't seem to move my eyes away. I feel like I'm being electrocuted. Looking closely at the man's appearance, Jane was completely stunned. This is not right. Thor, the god of thunder, shouldn't be a European. European gods should be white. So why is he a slightly fat yellow man? And, he's really young. Wait. Jane, who has always been interested in myths and legends, remembered a view she saw on a forum. Some people believe that myths from all over the world are connected. There is a sun god in Norse mythology, a sun god in Greek mythology, a sun god in Indian mythology and Egyptian mythology, as well as Chinese mythology and Japanese mythology. The same is true for Thor. So some people believe that myths really exist. Gods cannot be looked at directly. The gods that mortals see are the gods that they want mortals to see. So white people see white gods, black people see black gods, and yellow people see yellow gods. So here comes the question. The original body of the gods must have skin color. Is Thor a yellow, white, or black man? Now it seems that there is an answer. Thor, the god of thunder, is actually a yellow man. Jane was shocked and felt that she had discovered the truth. Get in the car, get in the car, she shouted excitedly. Looking back, the other two guys had already gotten in the car and were standing behind him, panting heavily. It's just lifting a person. Why are you so tired? Eric, Daisy, you two should exercise. I'll drive. Daisy quickly grabbed the steering wheel. Are you kidding? Although the storm has stopped and the endless lightning has disappeared, who knows if it will come again. It happened twice in a row just now, each time more terrible than the last. If this time is more terrible than this time, I'm afraid it will be the end of the world. No, I'll do it. Jane moved closer to the steering wheel, sat directly in the driver's seat, started the car and drove in the direction where the storm disappeared, not giving Daisy a chance to escape. I have confirmed my eyes with Thor. If I miss this opportunity, I will regret it for the rest of my life. Jane, what are you doing? Daisy almost went crazy. No, I don't want to die yet. I don't want to see God. She reached out to grab the steering wheel. Not God, it's God, Thor. Daisy, don't make trouble. I'll take you to see God. I haven't studied God yet. Jane refused to let her go. The two of them fought for the car, and the situation was out of control. Seeing this, Dr. Eric quickly hid in the corner and grabbed the door handle. Can you wait until I jump out of the car before grabbing it? It will kill people. Are you okay? A slightly concerned voice sounded. Fortunately, it's okay. Jane and Daisy are sensible. It's impossible for them to really flip over. Eric suddenly realized. This voice is very unfamiliar. There are only 4 people in the car. It's not me. It's a male voice, so it's not Jane and Daisy. The blonde man is still lying on the ground. Then who is talking? He turned around a little stiffly and saw a slightly fat yellow man standing behind him with a reassuring smile on his face. You, who are you? How did you get in? I clearly closed the car door, and I even grabbed the door handle. Are you a human or a ghost? Eric's voice attracted the attention of Jane and Daisy. The two finally stopped fighting, and Jane stepped on the accelerator to the bottom. The front of the car suddenly lurched, and then, it stalled. The two of them didn't care about that much, and looked back at the same time. Daisy picked up the stun gun, and pointed it at the guy who suddenly appeared. She pressed the switch with a trembling hand, and a high voltage pulse of tens of thousands of volts hit the other person, but, he didn't fall down. The high voltage pulse seemed to charge the other person, and fine lightning flowed on his body, which looked really beautiful and shocking. This person is not afraid of electricity? Just like an electric man. Seeing the man's appearance clearly, Jane was trembling all over. It's him. She felt dry in the mouth and couldn't help but climb from the driver's seat to the passenger seat, stepping over the blonde man under her feet, and walked in front of the man. Her eyes didn't blink, and her voice trembled slightly, as if she was electrocuted. Thor. Who is calling me? Who is stepping on me? There was a turbulence under his feet. The blonde man was hit by 55 kilograms, and woke up from his coma. Then a flash of lightning flashed, and he fainted again. I'm just nervous. Daisy held the stun gun with a wronged look on her face. After being hit by tens of thousands of volts of voltage, he woke up so quickly. Who wouldn't be scared and nervous? I was able to press the switch to knock him out by reflex. I've already performed beyond my normal level. Lao Wang's mouth twitched slightly. You can offend anyone but not a woman. You can't be sure when you attack. Besides, Odin, aren't you too cruel? Not only did you take back your son's power, but it also seems to have weakened his physique. He can't even withstand a mere electric shock device. Thor, are you sure you are Thor? I'm here for him. Lao Wang looked at Thor, who had just been woken up and knocked out again by the two girls, and said with a smile, leave him to me. Dr. Eric Shavig, Miss Jane Foster, Miss Daisy Louise. Eric was stunned and realized something in an instant. Do you know me? Are you sent by SHIELD? It only took a few hours to arrive. Is SHIELD so efficient? Daisy was stunned and quickly pointed the stun gun at Lao Wang. Why? We caught him. Jane didn't react so much, her beautiful eyes still staring at Lao Wang. Of course, he is your subordinate. How should I call you? I mean your real name, not your divine name, Thor. Eric was stunned again. Jane, what nonsense are you talking about? There is no Thor, that is a myth. Daisy pressed the stun gun again nervously, and she was completely dumbfounded. Jane, what did you say? Thor, 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 Thor? He is Thor, the god of thunder? Didn't he die together with the giant serpent Jormungandr in Ragnarok? I've read Norse mythology. Chapter 269 Not in Sleep, 4/5. Seeing the reactions of the three people, Lao Wang almost burst out laughing. No way, you mistook me for Thor? Did you know that Thor was just beaten to death by you? This is probably the biggest black spot in his life, which will be black for the rest of his life. This is not a beautiful misunderstanding, Lao Wang had to explain patiently. First of all, myths are just myths after all, and they are different from the facts. There are no snakes that big in this world. Even if there are, they have been eaten by the people of the motherland long ago, and there is no bone left. Secondly, Ragnarok is just a prophecy and has not happened yet, so Thor is still alive. Third, I'm not Thor, the one under your feet is. 3 explanations in a row did not solve the doubts of the 3 people, but made them more confused. Looking at the blonde man under her feet, Daisy thought that this is impossible. Thor can't even be fooled by the electric shock device. Is Thor so weak? Eric patted his forehead and thought that either this person is crazy or I'm crazy. Where is Thor? Acting in a movie? Jane suddenly thought of something and suddenly realized it. If the person under his feet is really Thor. At first, a storm appeared and he fell to the ground. Then a more terrible storm appeared and the hammer appeared, but was defeated by the one in front of him. So, you are Thor's enemy? Jane looked up and down, confirming that this person did not look like a snake, and wondered in her heart, then who are you? He can defeat Thor and control storms and lightning. Could it be he is from other myths, such as the Thor in Chinese mythology? This is a battle between different myths, a true battle of the gods. I'm the director of the General Bureau of Strategic Defense, Offensive and Multi-Dimensional Strategic Cooperation of Extraterrestrial Threats. My last name is Wang. Old Wang took out his ID from his arms and showed it, smiling and said, if you think the name is too long, just call it the Divine Stick Bureau. Our logo is a stick, with 2 golden hoops on both ends. Isn't it beautiful? By what? Daisy always felt that the man in front of her was not a good person. Daisy. Eric hurriedly pulled Daisy and reminded her with his eyes, no matter whether this person defeated Thor or not, no matter whether the ID is real or not, we can't mess with him. We can't beat him. Let him go first. Why not call the police later? Why confront him head on? This is not cowardice. This is a strategic retreat. Believe me, his existence will bring you a lot of trouble. Lao Wang smiled and winked at Jane. He doesn't belong to science. He belongs to mythology. Jane hesitated. She was very interested in myths and legends, and wanted to know whether mythology and science were connected, whether the hammer and the storm could be explained by science, and whether the 2 beams of light were wormholes, or other forms of time travel. But for some reason, the man in front of her made her involuntarily convinced and even obedient. Could it be that, because of the eye contact she had confirmed before, she met the right person? Can I go with you? Jane mustered up her courage. I want to. There is no god in the world. When a creature is strong enough, there will be a god. Lao Wang stretched out his left hand and said sincerely, Ms. Foster, the Bureau of Divine Sticks has just been established and is in need of experts in astronomy. If you are willing, the Bureau of Divine Sticks is honored to extend an olive branch to you. You will have your own laboratory and at least 100 million yuan in funds for your free disposal. Jane's soul was instantly shocked. There is no god in the world. When a creature is strong enough, there will be a god. Is that the case? She hesitated for 2 seconds and nodded heavily. I do. Lao Wang felt a little uncomfortable when he heard this. This is not a church. You don't need to swear so solemnly. Don't look so fiery, okay? Be careful, that sky will kill you in a second. You can't beat her. I'm thinking about your safety. This is not a place to talk. There is a small town nearby. Let's find a place to live first," he said. Eric finally got the chance to interrupt and asked quickly, "Director Wang. Director Wang, shouldn't we go to the base of your Schengen bureau? Also, the laboratory you mentioned before?" He was a little embarrassed. Just now, he suddenly remembered that an agent he knew in SHIELD seemed to have mentioned it a few days ago, saying that there was a newly established organization in the United Nations, which was on par with SHIELD, which made Director Fury very irritable and unable to eat or sleep well. Because the name was too long, he didn't remember it. Now that he thinks about it carefully, it seems to be the Strategic Defense Against Extraterrestrial Threats Bureau. So the person in front of him is most likely real. He actually invited Jane to join and set up a laboratory with a minimum funding of 100 million. Although he is the world's top astronomer, he has never seen 100 million. Astronomers are very poor, especially old professors like him who concentrate on teaching and educating people. If I'm given 100 million, many topics that have never been studied can be studied. I'm excited just thinking about it. If you are willing to join, it will be an honor for the SHIELD, and of course Miss Daisy Louise. Lao Wang smiled and said, "You have an old friend who is also in the SHIELD. He is an expert in gamma rays. Dr. Bruce Banner." Eric's eyes lit up. Is it him? It was Dr. Banner who first let him know the existence of SHIELD. After that mention, Dr. Banner disappeared. He is still alive and was not captured by SHIELD, but joined the SHIELD. As for why he did not go to the SHIELD base, but to a nearby town, Lao Wang smiled and looked up at the sky. Although the plot has collapsed, what is coming will still come. Asgard. Odin suddenly staggered, then fell softly and sat on the ground. His eyes were dim, and his divine power was constantly surging. Obviously, the situation was not good. Father of the gods. Heimdall quickly stopped monitoring the earth, and his heart skipped a beat. "You are. I'm going to sleep, Heimdall." Odin changed to a more comfortable posture and sighed. "I'm old. I don't know if I can wake up this time." Heimdall was silent. Odin is indeed old. He is more powerful than the previous generation of the Father of the Gods bore, and has lived longer, but there is still a limit to his lifespan. This is the limitation of racial genes and the limitation of Asgard. Even Odin cannot change it. His life is coming to an end. Otherwise, Thor would not be in a hurry to succeed him. It's a pity. Thor is still too young and not suitable for the position of King of Asgard. He is too immature. Strengthen Asgard's security system and keep an eye on the 9 realms. Odin's voice became weaker and weaker. "Be careful." Heimdall knelt on one knee. "I will protect Asgard and wait for Thor to return." Odin slowly closed his eyes. Asgard is protected by magic and can only be entered and exited through the Rainbow Bridge. Without permission, even the Ancient One cannot enter, so it is very safe. But what happened to the previous invasion of the Frost Giants? Is there a secret passage in Asgard that even I don't know about? I don't have much time left. I just hope Thor can wake up as soon as possible and pick up Mjolnir again. Mjolnir has my spell. As long as I'm alive, no one in this universe can break my spell. Only those who are recognized by Mjolnir can pick him up. Odin murmured in a low voice, "If you want to pick up Mjolnir, you need to meet several conditions. Noble character, willing to sacrifice for others, and strong enough power. Thor, you have noble character and the greatest power in Asgard. I believe you have the courage to sacrifice for others, but you have always been strong and have no chance. Now I give you this opportunity, Heimdall. Keep an eye on Thor and Mjolnir. Obey your orders, Father of the Gods." Heimdall looked at the earth with a pair of golden pupils and suddenly said, "Ah." Odin tried to raise his eyelids. What happened? Heimdall's face froze. Mjolnir was picked up by a mortal. Odin was stunned. His power was completely out of control. His eyelids closed. Did he fall asleep? Chapter 270 Thor Captain America 5/5. Let's rewind the time to 1 minute. Captain America was running wildly. The two balls of lightning in the sky became clearer and clearer. One of them was Hammer, and the other was clearly a fat version of Director Wang. The super soldier serum can amplify everything about a person, including judgment and intuition. He was sure that the ball of lightning was Director Wang. Captain America thought secretly. Director Wang is a good man, and I still owe him a big favor. No, it's several. He is fighting with Hammer, so I should go to help him. I just don't know if I can catch up. It doesn't matter, I will do whatever Director Wang does, just a little slower than him. He ran at full speed, and suddenly saw Director Wang show his power. The ball of lightning on the hammer was blown up, and then it turned into a ball of light, and flew towards him. If he was hit, would he die? Captain America subconsciously raised his shield, and took a defensive posture. Boom. A violent roar sounded, accompanied by a tremor in the earth. A terrifying shock wave blew Captain America away, flying dozens of meters away, and fell heavily to the ground. If the vibranium shield hadn't absorbed most of the kinetic energy, he would have been seriously injured, even if he didn't die. Fortunately, it didn't hit him. The shock wave alone was so strong. If it hit him, he would have died for sure. The vibranium shield might not be able to withstand it. Enduring the pain all over his body, Captain America quickly got up. Seeing the situation in front of him, he was stunned. There was a big pit not far away. At a glance, the circular pit had a radius of at least 500 meters and was bottomless. This was not a hammer falling. It was clearly an asteroid hitting the Earth. Of course, the scene was not that big, and this was in the wilderness. Apart from the shock, it shouldn't have caused much impact, and there wouldn't be any casualties. That's good. Captain America was a little relieved. Zzzz. The communication that was interrupted by the thunderstorm was restored, and the voice of Black Widow sounded. Captain Rogers, I saw something falling near you. The shock was felt 10 kilometers away. How are you now? I'm fine, Natasha. Captain America replied quickly. Hearing what Captain America said, Black Widow was relieved. The Quinjet is damaged. Barton has requisitioned a car. We will go over and meet you now. Seal off the scene, and don't let anyone get close. Requisition? Isn't this a bad idea? Or thought flashed through his mind, and Captain America hung up. He held up his shield, and walked to the deepest part of the pit, and saw a hammer. Is this the thing fighting with Director Wang? Captain America was a little curious, walked over carefully, then reached out, and grasped the hammer handle, and lifted it up with force. The next moment, a majestic voice sounded in his mind. No matter who gets Thor's hammer, as long as he is qualified, he can have the power of Thor. Boom. Captain America found himself in a world of thunder and lightning. Countless lightning bolts kept striking, but they couldn't hurt him at all, but entered his body instead. An old man in front of him, wearing golden armor, a golden helmet, and holding a golden scepter, gradually disappeared, and the corners of his mouth seemed to reveal a hint of surprise and helplessness. It seemed that only a moment had passed, and everything disappeared, and he returned to reality again. Looking at the hammer in his hand, he had a strange feeling. This hammer seemed to grow on his hand, and he could use it as easily as with his arm. This feeling had only been experienced with the vibranium shield before. That was a shield that he had used for several years, and he had long since reached the highest level of unity between man and shield. And now, me and this hammer, man, and hammer are one. Is this another form of betrayal? A feeling of intimacy passed from the hammer into his body, and then a thought. There was no sound. It was not in any known language, but he understood its meaning, and understood everything he needed to know. It is Thor's hammer, and now, I have become Thor. I can control storms and lightning through Thor's hammer. An unprecedented sense of absurdity surged in his heart, and Captain America subconsciously raised the hammer. Suddenly, the sky was filled with wind and clouds, and a large amount of lightning struck from different places and fell on Thor's hammer. Electric snakes swam on the hammer and himself. Not only did they not hurt him, but they also gave him an indescribable sense of pleasure, which was more comfortable than being in love with Carter. This is too incredible, right? A strong desire came into the mind from Thor's hammer. Captain America had an epiphany. He met the requirements of Odin's spell, and was qualified to use Thor's hammer, but he had not yet been recognized by Thor's hammer. In the eyes of this hammer, although he had met all the conditions, he was not talented, and had no ability to control lightning. Unlike the genuine Thor, who was born to be the god of thunder, he could not exert the full power of Thor's hammer. In the words of the hammer, he used the hammer as the main thing, while Thor used the hammer as Thor. The difference is huge. And how much power can be exerted depends on whether the hammer cooperates. Then cooperate. Whatever you want to do, I will let you do it. Captain America didn't think much about it and subconsciously threw the hammer and then reacted. Something is wrong. Thor's hammer just now seemed to mean hammering people. That thought was filled with anger, unwillingness, and a strong sense of dissatisfaction. And there seemed to be only one person nearby who could make it unhappy. Director Wang. Nothing will happen, right? Old Wang was not surprised that Captain America could lift Thor's hammer. As a super soldier and a national hero of the United States, he does have enough strength, noble character, and the spirit of sacrifice for others. No one is perfect, and Captain America also has flaws in this regard, and he is not a saint. But compared to the current Thor, Captain America is obviously more noble and more willing to sacrifice. The reason why he didn't lift it in Avengers 2 was actually to give Thor face. Captain America is a very good actor. There has never been a shortage of morally noble people among humans. There are more heroes than Captain America who emerged in the war years. Even in peacetime, there are countless heroes. There are too many people who have lifted Thor's hammer in the Marvel universe. I don't know what Odin thinks. It doesn't matter. Thor has never been the god of hammers. He is actually the god of axe. Daisy drove. Eric sat in the passenger seat. Lao Wang and Jane sat in the back seat, watching Thor, the god of thunder, lying dead, while chatting. Lao Wang mainly satisfied Jane's thirst for knowledge, telling her myths, the 9 realms, and everything. Jane held her cheeks with both hands and listened. Her beautiful eyes seemed to grow on Lao Wang. Her aesthetics changed, and she always thought fat people were handsome. The 9 realms are actually 9 planets or 9 kingdoms in the universe. Earth is one of them. The Asgardians call it Midgard, which means the Middle Kingdom. The 9 realms are located in different locations in the universe, and the distance between each other is measured in light years. Each world is protected by a mysterious force. For example, Earth has 3 major temples. The same mysterious force connects the 9 realms together, which is the so-called World Tree. There are actually many ways to get from one world to another, and the simplest one is the Rainbow Bridge. The Rainbow Bridge is actually a solidified wormhole, which is equivalent to a cross-galaxy portal. Of course, it is not just a portal, it also has the power to destroy everything. This power is even stronger than Odin, the father of the gods. Odin's scepter and spear of eternity, Heimdall's sword, all have the ability to open the Rainbow Bridge. It was Odin who caused Thor and Thor's hammer to fall to earth before. Old Wang told the story, and Jane's mouth slowly opened. Looking at Thor, who continued to lie down, Jan shook his head lightly. I still can't believe that he is the legendary Thor. He looks more like a tramp. He is a tramp who was exiled by Odin himself. Lao Wang smiled. It was even a chance to be a new Thunder, but now it seems that it is completely impossible. Nothing. There is something that owes it. If you fight here, what to do if you accidentally destroy this car? And it is easy to hurt the guys next to him. So, Xiana Hong, look at you. The calfskin belt was pulled away from the waist and turned into a crimson ribbon, flying into the distance. Chapter 271. Which is more important, the process or the result? Since ancient times, there is no first in literature, and no second in martial arts. Artifacts have always looked down on each other, and of course they will compete with each other when they meet. Thor's hammer comes from Asgard. It has followed its successive masters to kill countless powerful beings, including those at the level of sub-fathers and even fathers. It is so powerful that it naturally has a lot of arrogance. Artifacts are honored by their users. The stronger its owner is, the stronger Thor's hammer will be. Except for the Spear of Eternity and Heimdall's sword, it simply looks down on other artifacts. The Crimson Demon Belt comes with the title of Sitorak. Although it only has the naming rights and does not belong to the Crimson Universe, it has nothing to do with the big boss Sitorak. But after all, it has a deep foundation and can get a little bit of power from the Crimson Universe, and it is just a little bit of power. Even if it is just a little bit, almost negligible power, it still allows it to climb to the level of an artifact. It has been in the New York temple for so many years, and it even looks down on the levitation cloak, let alone Thor's hammer, which has nothing to do with it. As soon as the two arrogant guys met, they immediately sparked love. Lightning and fire. No doubt about it. In one word, just do it. Although they have never dealt with each other, they are both famous, and have been friends for a long time, so they have some understanding of each other's abilities. Artifacts also have different levels. The Infinity Stones were born at the beginning of the Big Bang, containing the original energy of the universe, surpassing all artifacts, and must master very profound ancient knowledge to use them. So far, the one who knows the Infinity Stones best is Thanos, followed by Odin, Malekith, the Supreme Sorcerer, Ronan and others, who can only use part of the power of a certain stone. Knowledge is power. Before mastering enough knowledge, the Infinity Stones are not even as good as the handy artifacts of a lower level for the existence of the farther level: Eternal Spear, Eternal Flame, Icebox, Stormbreaker, Night Sky Sword, Twilight Sword. This is the real reason why Odin and Hela never use the Cosmic Cube, or the Ether Particles. It's not that they don't want to use it, it's that they can't use it well. The Crimson Belt and Thor's hammer are not top notch, but roughly the same level, barely in the middle. Thor's hammer had just been cursed, and abandoned by Odin, and beaten up by Lao Wang. Full of resentment, it flew over with a rolling momentum, wanting to suddenly hit that shameless fat guy, vent its anger, and avenge its previous humiliation. If they fight, they will definitely not be able to beat him. How can Captain America, a mortal, compare to Odin? Even Odin's remote control can't beat that fat guy, so Thor's hammer certainly doesn't have any hope for Captain America. Unless that ignorant little guy Thor wants to understand the meaning of his dead father, get rid of Odin's spell, and become one with the hammer, relying on Thor's absolute control over Thor, there is hope to defeat that fat guy. But it is impossible to say that he is afraid. Its material is hard, at the same level as vibranium, and it is protected by Odin's spell. As long as the strength is not greater than Odin, it is impossible to cause harm to it. Only the Supreme Sorcerer Ancient One has this ability on the entire earth, and that kind of existence probably has no need to make things difficult for me. A small broken hammer. Fatty, I will hammer you. If I can't kill you, I will beat you to pieces and embarrass you. If you have the guts, bite me. Dreams are full, but reality is skinny. Before I even saw the real owner, I was stopped by a torn silk ribbon. What's so great about a fake and shoddy product with a brand name? Thor's hammer wanted to teach the Crimson Demon Belt a lesson it would never forget, so that it would know why lightning is so bright. However, it soon realized that something was wrong. How could that guy be so durable? Its ability seems to be stronger than the legend. The most important thing is that there is a strange energy flowing on the Crimson Demon Belt. It is an energy that seems to have been seen somewhere, and the level is very high, even higher than Odin's divine power. That is an essential difference, beyond the limit of creatures in this universe, probably at the same level as the Infinity Stones. Although it was not much, it significantly improved the stretching force, defense, flight speed, and magic resistance of the Crimson Magic Band. No matter how hard you hammered it, it was useless. No matter how many billions of volts of lightning, it could not hurt it. Instead, it was tightly entangled by the Crimson Magic Band and wrapped tightly. At this moment, Thor's hammer was filled with resentment. Dwarf King Atri, when you forged me, why did you have to make it into a hammer? It would be much better if it was an awl or scissors, or an axe. It was helpless. Scissors, rock, paper, everyone on Earth knows that they are mutually reinforcing and mutually restraining. The hammer is destined to be no match for cloth. In less than 30 seconds, Thor's hammer was wrapped into a dumpling by the Crimson Magic Band, and then it was constantly pulled and flew in front of Lao Wang half-heartedly. It was really half-hearted. Its essence is similar to the Crimson Magic Band, but with the blessing of Odin's spell, no one can drag it if it really doesn't want to. The reason why he was dragged was because he thought, I can't be hurt anyway, and wanted to meet that fat guy to see how he did it, and actually made the broken silk ribbon get a fundamental upgrade. If it continues like this, maybe one day it can be upgraded to the level of the Eternal Spear. That's the level I want to reach. Is it Thor's hammer? Seeing the crimson magic belt floating in front of him, and Thor's hammer showing a corner, Jane's eyes lit up. Wang, can I touch it? Thor's hammer trembled and resisted. How can anyone touch me? No, no. Xiao Hong, come back. Lao Wang waved his hand, and the crimson magic belt turned into a belt again, revealing the real Thor's hammer. It looks like a silver square-headed hammer, not big, and it doesn't look very good, but of course it's practical. Jane subconsciously reached out. Thor's hammer was about to dodge. Lao Wang touched the belt, and a stream of Azeroth essence flowed out. Thor's hammer suddenly paused. Then he reluctantly adjusted the hammer handle, and aimed it at the pretty girl. Jane touched it curiously, and thought it was nothing special. It felt normal, with uneven runes all over it, and it was a bit uncomfortable to hold. The key was that I couldn't hold it. It ignored me. Lao Wang smiled. Just as he was about to say something, a calm and gentle voice suddenly sounded in his ears. King, don't go too far. Odin and I have an agreement not to interfere with each other. From the moment I became the Supreme Sorcerer, Odin has never come to Earth, and I will not interfere in Asgard's internal affairs. Since you use my name, you must abide by my rules. Thor's hammer does not belong to you. I have seen 3 trillion futures, and Thor's hammer will shine in the future. It is related to Thor's awakening and the peace of the universe. Don't interfere too much. The old king smiled and responded silently. Don't worry, I know my limits. Please tell Odin that I'm helping him, Thor, and Asgard. Earth and Asgard are both part of the 9 realms, and I will definitely help if I can. Ancient One. This kid is so arrogant, he actually dared not listen to me. Well, he has a big boss backing him up, and it seems that he has never listened to me. So angry. Forget it. The little king has always been sensible in doing things, and he shouldn't go too far. Dormammu is making trouble again. I have to go to the dark dimension again. I don't want to bother with your mess. You can play with fire, but don't burn yourself. King, you should know your limits. Although Odin's body is in deep sleep, his soul has been awake, staring at Loki, Thor, and you. Any attempt to get the situation out of control will alert him. If he forcibly interrupts Odin's sleep and goes to war with the Earth, you can't bear the consequences. After leaving a few warnings, the voice of the Ancient One disappeared. The old king shook his head gently. I know this without you telling me. A big man who has been in the universe for thousands of years has fallen asleep countless times, and he has never seen any accident. There are deep waters in it. The power of the Asgardians is proportional to their rage. When the power is strong enough, they need to adjust the power in their bodies through sleep. Odin's power is too strong, and he adjusts himself through Odin's sleep every certain period of time. That old guy is indeed dying, but the Asgardians are getting more powerful as they get older. The current Odin is the most powerful Odin, but he just doesn't last long. You can provoke him, but don't make him angry, otherwise Odin will risk his life to force himself to wake up. The Ancient One, whose body is about to collapse, may not be his opponent. And I didn't go too far. Supreme Sorcerer, I'm protecting your authority. You have to stand by me at the critical moment. Odin's goal is to make Thor grow up as quickly as possible and be qualified to become the king of Asgard. As long as the result is right, nothing else matters, such as stealing a few artifacts. Turning his head to look at Thor's hammer, Lao Wang's eyes were burning. Thanks to Hellcat for the 2000 reward. Chapter 272, Aliens Struggle for the Throne. Update. Although I don't think much of Thor's hammer, because I have seen too many more powerful artifacts, this thing actually has a great origin. It is made of the remains of a dying star, and its real mass is astonishingly large, but the dwarves' superb technology and Odin's magic make it as light as an ordinary hammer. After a star is dying, it will explode into a supernova and become a red giant, depending on its mass, and then collapse into a white dwarf, a neutron star, or even a black hole as it continues to burn. Whether it is a white dwarf or a neutron star, the density is not ordinary. A handful of it may be equivalent to a small mountain. The dwarves are really awesome to be able to cast artifacts with this material. Think about it, how exciting it is to smash a star everywhere. Of course, the wreckage is just wreckage after all, and it is hard to say how much is used. Most of it is just a little core material, which is far from comparable to a real star. Otherwise Thor would not be able to play with it. But anyway, it is indeed a rare artifact and extremely valuable. It is said that Thor's hammer was originally the weapon of Odin himself. Later, Odin inherited the throne and became the father of the gods. He obtained the scepter passed down from generation to generation by the royal family of Asgard and asked the dwarves to create the more powerful eternal spear. Only then did he give Thor's hammer to his eldest daughter, the god of death Hela. At that time, Odin and Hela were of one mind, and the two powerful father-level masters joined forces. The eternal spear and Thor's hammer were combined. I don't know how many fights they fought, and how many people they slaughtered. Even the father-level masters killed more than one. This established the status of Asgard. Even in the entire universe, Asgard is a sacred and inviolable holy place. Whether it is the three major cosmic empires or Dormammu and Mephisto in the extra dimension, they dare not invade Asgard. Odin's reputation shocked the entire universe. Later, Odin and Hela broke up, deprived him of Thor's hammer, and sealed Hela in the underworld of Helmu. Thor is the third owner of Thor's hammer and the weakest one so far. One generation is worse than the next. And now, it has passed through Captain America and fallen into his own hands. You're so stubborn that you won't leave. You're a divine weapon, meow meow hammer. Do you want to be so disgraceful? Go away. Lao Wang threw Thor's hammer away. Weapons are only one thing, and they have to be suitable. Lao Wang is really not used to such a small hammer. A man needs to be big and long. It would be better to change it to the Spear of Eternity. Weapons are honored by their users. Thor's hammer just wants to cheat some of Azeroth's essence. It only has Thor in its heart, and can't accommodate anyone else. A forced melon is not sweet, and a hammer taken by force is not licked, and can't exert much power. Not every divine weapon is as shameless and spineless as the Crimson Belt. For the Storm Spirit, who already has the ability to control storms and lightning, Thor's hammer is actually not very useful. It would be better to replace it with a more suitable windsword or fist of the heavens. The most important thing is that this thing is Odin's treasure. Just like what Ancient One said, that person is just in a deep sleep. If he really wants to do it, he can wake up at any time and come to Earth to confront him head on. Although he has the support of the Supreme Sorcerer, it is not a good idea to rashly provoke a father-level existence. So, forget it. Whoosh. Thor's hammer flew backwards while sending a sad thought, which looked like an abandoned young wife. It is a divine weapon after all, and it has backbone. Since others don't want it, it can't just stay and not leave, right? It decisively flew back to the side of Captain America and landed at the place where it fell before. Hey, my connection with it disappeared. Captain America hurriedly reached out to take it, but he couldn't take it, and his face was a little complicated. A resentment came from the hammer, and he understood. This hammer is sad. The reason why it is willing to be controlled by itself is that it wants to suddenly attack the Hammer King, but it didn't succeed. In this case, there is naturally no need to care about itself. After all, in the heart of this hammer, Thor is the queen, and it is just a temporary concubine who will be thrown away after use. Little hammer, you've gone too far. Captain America was full of resentment. A few minutes later, a requisitioned off-road vehicle roared over, and Coulson, Black Widow and Hawkeye surrounded it. Captain Rogers, is this the Thor's hammer you mentioned? As the commander-in-chief of the operation with the highest authority among all people, Coulson hurriedly asked, is it really Thor's weapon? The legendary Mjolnir. He has level 8 authority, second only to Fury, Hell and a few other authority dogs, and knows a lot of secrets. The Cosmic Cube is related to Norse mythology. It is said that it was discovered by Red Skull in the Temple of Odin in Norway. At that time, the murals also painted the World Tree and the Nine Realms. In 1995, he also came into contact with the Kree and the Skrulls. Since aliens exist, why can't mythological figures exist? Of course, in his opinion, gods are also people, just more powerful people. Isn't the purpose of S.H.I.E.L.D's existence to deal with aliens and myths? It should be. Captain America said helplessly, I don't know much. It ignored me. It was really angry, quite arrogant. It's just that I can't beat Director Wang. There's nothing shameful. I can't beat him either, so I'm not angry. Coulson thought for a while. It seems that If you want to know the truth, you have to ask Director Wang. He took out his mobile phone, called Ludan, and told him the details. At this time, Ludan had just finished a phone call with Sky, and he felt depressed. No matter what he asked, Sky said he didn't know, saying I'm just an ordinary director of the operations department. I can't control the director. If you have anything, just ask Lao Wang directly. You're too much, Sky. Now hearing Carlson's report, Ludan gritted his teeth. Immediately notify nearby agents, and mobilize people to build a base near Thor's hammer. No one is allowed to enter, especially the people from the God Bureau. Carlson quickly answered yes, and at the same time, muttered in his heart, especially the people from the God Bureau? Director, can you stop Director Wang? Which one of Quake and Ghost Rider can you stop? You can't stop the Hulk, and you can't even stop Daredevil and those people. So why are you getting mad? It's pointless. Looks like we are going to stay here overnight. Carlson shrugged and called a nearby SHIELD agent. Captain Rogers, did you really pick it up before? Hawkeye was a little curious. He just tried, but couldn't lift it. It's said that he's quite strong, although not as strong as Captain America, but at least half as strong. He didn't even move at all, showing no respect. Yeah. Captain America was a little unhappy. It would be fine if he couldn't lift it from the beginning. He's clearly qualified to lift it, but the hammer doesn't want to. What's the matter? Conscious artifacts are really annoying. My vibranium shield is still the best, it never resists. He stroked the shield with both hands, as gently as he could, just like stroking his lover's chest. What key fits what lock? The later one is definitely not as good as the original one. Captain America knows this very well. Natasha, why don't you try it too? Hawkeye urged. Black Widow smiled. No. Doomed to fail. What's the point of trying? Besides, if it succeeds, wouldn't it be embarrassing for both of you? So forget it. After hanging up the phone, Ludan said in a deep voice, continue to call Director Wang of the Schengen Bureau. The storm is over, and it's time to restore communication. Trying to access. Access successful. Along with a gentle female voice, Lao Wang's voice rang out. The user you dialed is out of service area. Please don't call again. Ludan. You are so old, and you are still playing this. Do you have any future? He said unhappily. Director Wang, what's the situation in New Mexico? The directors of the Security Council are waiting for my report. They have been trying to contact you, but they can't get through. The President, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense, and the Governor of New Mexico all want to know the situation. Nothing, just a fight for the throne of aliens. Lao Wang recounted the general situation and concluded, the old king exiled the eldest prince, and then fell asleep due to exhaustion. The second prince who was picked up took the opportunity to grab the position of king, and planned to kill the eldest prince to eliminate the trouble forever. Well, that's it. Chapter 273 We are protecting the whole world. Part 1. A fight for the throne. Ludan was slightly stunned. You mean aliens, not gods? I can't tell. Director Wang, you are very conscious. He was in the office of the Security Council at this time, with the projections of 5 members in front of him. Everyone listened quietly. After listening to Lao Wang's statement, the 5 big bosses of the Security Council looked at each other. What? Aliens are coming again. And according to Director Wang, the Asgardians who came this time are more powerful than the Skrulls and Kree who came last time. Such a terrible storm was actually caused by a hammer? It feels not much worse than Captain Marvel. This what can I do? The scene was a little awkward for a moment. Shouldn't Americans have only one god in their hearts? Your religion is the only god. Do you also regard the gods of Norse mythology as gods? Lao Wang smiled, and his voice came from the phone. They don't even regard themselves as gods. Asgardians can only live for 5,000 years. Are they also gods? If a lifespan of 5,000 years is considered a god, then aren't those night elves who have lived for more than 10,000 years gods among gods? In the world of Warcraft, the gods of the wilderness who are almost impossible to kill are barely considered demigods. In the Marvel world, even Thanos is only called a demigod. Those gods worshipped by backward civilizations are nothing at all. Whether it is the dragon Shaoleo or the god of thunder, or even Odin, the father of the gods, they are not real gods. Real gods do not exist in the world of ordinary people and are above the single universe. They transcend time and space and are immortal. Mortals don't even have the qualifications to know. The corners of the mouth of the congressman from the motherland twitched slightly. Chinese civilization is only 5,000 years old. Okay, buddy, you hit it a little too much. But when he looked at the 4 congressmen next to him, he was in a good mood instantly. Britain and France next door are better. They have a certain foundation. Russia across the way also has a relatively long civilization. As for the next door, the United States of America, if you don't count the early Indian civilization, their history is only a short 200 years. Our civilization can at least kill an Asgardian. Your civilization is probably not even considered a child for others. Okay, I understand what you mean. Luden was silent for a minute, digesting what Lao Wang said, and then asked, the problem now is that Thor's hammer and Thor are both on Earth. So whether it is people who support Thor or Thor's rival Loki, they will come to Earth to find people, and if they are not handled properly, it will cause a war. Full score in listening, and full score in reading comprehension. Teacher Wang nodded. Does Thor count as entering the country without permission? The newly elected American congressman suddenly asked. As soon as this was said, the faces and eyes of others became subtle, looking at the congressman's expression, as if looking at a fool. Even Ludan, who is an American, felt a little embarrassed and wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl into. His old face couldn't be any darker. Man, are you a funny guy sent by the president? Silently mocking the American congressman, Ludan looked at Lao Wang. It is certainly inappropriate for the United States to declare sovereignty over the Earth. But if the United Nations comes forward and believes that Thor entered the country without permission, it should make sense, right? Even if we don't take any measures, it's still okay for us to severely condemn and protest, right? Lao Wang shrugged. Excuse me, according to the Asgardians, the entire 9 realms belong to Asgard. They didn't enter the country without permission. At most, they are traveling across provinces, and they are princes traveling. We should warmly welcome them, listen to the instructions of His Royal Highness, and show enough honor. Luden understood. Isn't this the usual style of our country? Now it is used by the Asgardians. It's really retribution. He thought for a while and said, I want to know Asgard's military capabilities, land area, human geography, technological development, etc., as well as Asgard's attitude, especially Odin's attitude. Lao Wang snorted, just say you want to capture Thor and Thor's hammer for a search, and by the way, see if you can invade Asgard or other countries. I'll tell you directly, this is impossible. Why? Luden frowned. This is not his request, but the request of the president, the request of the Security Council, and the request of leaders of countries around the world. You can have the intention to harm others, but you must be on guard against others. It is not necessary to invade, but first we must know the basic situation of the other side, assess the strength of both sides, and then determine what to do next. Seize Thor and Thor's hammer for a search, invade other countries to solve energy crisis, environmental pollution, dense population and other problems, or cooperate with other countries, or immediately take defensive measures to resist possible invasion. This is the way politicians think. Director Wang, you know nothing. The congressman listened attentively. Director Wang is an honest man, and never tells lies. He must have a reason to say so. Is Asgard really strong? Old Wang said lightly, because the physique of any stonemason, carpenter or old lady in Asgard is similar to Captain Rogers, with tonnage level strength, and can easily overturn a heavy motorcycle. The skin is bulletproof, and cannot be penetrated by ordinary pistols. Ludan. The congressman. Is it that strong? Director Wang, do you think I was scared? Director Wang just said that, although Asgard is not a large place with a sparse population, it is hard to say how many people there are, but there must be millions. A million Captain Americas? This is too scary, isn't it? Lao Wang continued, because once Thor awakens, he will be equivalent to a human-shaped nuclear bomb, and it can be reused indefinitely. No weapon on Earth can kill him. I doubt that even nuclear bombs can't. The key is that they can't hit him. Ludan. Members, we understand what you mean. Earthlings can't stop Thor. If that guy gets angry, we can only passively take the beating. That's right. He can summon storms and lightning that destroy everything with just a hammer. The real master must be even more powerful. The key is that he can fly, and he flies a little fast, so you can't catch up. Lao Wang said again, because it only takes one Loki to come to Earth to easily cause the Third World War. He is the god of trickery, proficient in illusion, and his personal strength is not bad, only a little bit worse than Thor. Ludan. Members. The Ragnarok in Norse mythology was all caused by Loki, and he is the culprit. If the myth is not too different from the facts, then humans may not be able to beat Loki. It can even be said with certainty that Loki is far more terrifying to the Earth than Thor. Human civilization may not collapse because of external enemies, but what if it is a war among humans? There is no need to bother too much. Loki directly controls the top leaders of various countries. He only needs to launch a nuclear bomb to cause a chain reaction, trigger the Third World War, completely destroy the current civilization system, and let the whole world return to the era of the First Industrial Revolution overnight. When the members of the parliament thought of this, they felt cold in their hearts and fidgeted. We have finally gotten to this position and have a say in the whole world. Now you tell me that someone can destroy all of us at will. Is it so scary? Lao Wang continued, because once you anger Odin, he can just throw the eternal spear at the earth and penetrate the entire earth and destroy the core. Or he can aim the rainbow bridge at the earth and directly blow the earth into pieces. Or he can directly detonate the sun. Believe me, it won't be too difficult. Ludan. Members of the parliament. They were completely speechless and didn't know what to say. The gap is so big. Why hasn't the earth been destroyed yet? This is unreasonable. The earth has its own foundation and its own protectors. After a series of blows, Lao Wang finally got to the point. This is why the Schengen Bureau was established, and this is also the purpose of the establishment of the Schengen Bureau. Everyone, we are protecting the entire world. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 274 Thor Awakens, Part 2. What is the full name of the Schengen Bureau? Extraterrestrial Threat, Strategic Defense, Offensive and Multidimensional Strategic Cooperation. Cheat? Cross it out. General Administration. It is mainly responsible for extraterrestrial threats and other dimensional threats. Shouldn't the Schengen Bureau be responsible for the threats from Asgard and the Nine Realms? Upon hearing this, the congressman breathed a sigh of relief. Yes, what are you afraid of? We have Director Wang. Director Wang will support you if the sky falls. Didn't Director Wang deal with that hammer? Dealing with Thor and Loki should not be a problem, right? I have reached a consensus with Kamataj, and together with the Supreme Sorcerer, we have issued a solemn statement and warning to the Nine Realms. The Earth belongs to the people of the Earth, and no one may cross the border without permission. Lao Wang said, of course, the Supreme Sorcerer is very busy, and she will not care unless Odin personally takes action. For small characters like Thor and Loki, it is enough for me and the Schengen Bureau to come forward. The congressmen looked at each other and quickly reached a consensus. Director Wang's words were really domineering, worthy of being a man who is used to using hundreds of millions of dollars to make pie transactions. The British female MP who was particularly familiar with Lao Wang said, Director Wang, the Security Council has authorized that the SHIELD Bureau will be fully responsible for handling this matter, and SHIELD will provide as much help as possible. Ludan had originally planned to stay out of it. Director Wang, you are awesome. Go and worry about it yourself. I don't care about this matter. Now after hearing the female MP's words, Ludan was furious. There are too many troubles recently. There is the Hand and Hydra again, and Tony is making trouble every day. He just solved the Hulk and the Abomination Bronsky yesterday, and now he has to assist the SHIE Bureau to deal with the Asgardians. What is wrong with this world? Ludan has a big head. Assist. If this matter is done well, the credit goes to Director Wang. If it is not done well, he will also be implicated. He finally understood why the MPs have been full of energy and ruddy during this period. It must be because they have made too many Pi transactions with Director Wang. Forget it, this matter is not something I can solve. Let the Avengers keep an eye on it. If we really run into big trouble, we still have to rely on Director Wang. The Avengers will provide help, Luden said in a muffled voice. Thank you very much, Director Fury. There is another thing that S.H.I.E.L.D. needs help with. Lao Wang smiled and said, the hammer is angry and will not move no matter what. I can't do anything. Please send someone to evacuate the crowd as soon as possible. I hope to see an empty town within a day. Okay. Ludan agreed immediately. This is not a joke. If the previous storm falls on the town, it will directly destroy the entire town. Not to mention people, even rats and flies will probably not survive. What if Director Wang can't handle it, and the Asgardians really start a war in the town, and who knows how many people will die? Humph. We still have to rely on S.H.I.E.L.D. at the critical moment. With just the few people in your S.H.I.E.L.D. bureau, it's completely useless. Ah. Lao Wang sighed, looking melancholy. Actually, this matter is not under the jurisdiction of SHIELD, but should be undertaken by the Schengen Bureau. Unfortunately, our Schengen Bureau has just been established, and we have no people and no money. Now we don't even have a decent base. Even the construction funds for the 2 bases in the Afterlife and Kunlun are sponsored by the Azeroth Group. No, they are borrowed, alas. Lao Wang sighed. His voice was as sad as it could be. The Schengen Bureau now has a total of 123 members, with less than 100,000 liquid funds in the account and more than 10 billion in debt. Even the salaries have not been announced. Alas. Luden cursed inwardly. Shit. Is $10 billion so easy to spend? If it weren't for the Sky Carrier and the Quinjet, the SHIELD Trident headquarters would have more than that much money. Director Wang, you are a big liar. The 5 congressmen looked at each other. I was wondering why Director Wang has changed his nature today. Is he here to ask for people and money? The British female MP was soft-hearted and expressed deep sympathy. Ahem. Director Wang, I will urge the relevant departments to implement it. The first allocation will definitely arrive within 10 days. The other MPs comforted and expressed their support. Only the American MP who had not had time to pie with Lao Wang recently snorted. Director Wang, when SHIELD was first established, it didn't even have $100 million. The starting point of the SHIELD was already very high. The United Nations budget this year does not include the SHIELD, and the fact that it has $2 billion in funding is already the result of the efforts of the council. Director Wang, don't make it difficult for us. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. The SHIELD is a subordinate agency of the Security Council. How could I make it difficult for you, the MP? Lao Wang looked aggrieved. The SHIELD will definitely do its best to do what it should do, without asking or complaining. I plan to rent a car, to send all 123 members of the SHIELD over here, ready to sacrifice for the safety of the earth and the peace of mankind. But the distance is too far, driving is too slow, and I can't afford to rent a plane. I don't know if I will make it in time. Luden almost burst out laughing. Director Wang, you are going too far. If you quit, who will deal with the Asgardians? The American congressman looked unhappy and was about to get angry. The British congresswoman comforted him quickly. Director Wang, there is indeed no budget today, but the budget for next year will definitely consider the Bureau of Asgardians. I think it should be raised to the same number as S.H.I.E.L.D. The other congressman seconded the motion. The American congressman's face darkened. Ladies and gentlemen, the budget of the United Nations is limited. The congresswoman smiled and said, I think governments will be willing to provide additional support. After all, the Earth is facing an almost irresistible alien threat, which is related to the life and safety of everyone in the world. The Russian congressman suddenly said, the United States owes the United Nations dues, and it's time to pay it. Seeing that 2 colleagues had already started to argue, the French congressman said quickly, France pays its dues on time. I think other countries are the same. The last congressman smiled and reminded, Mr. Congressman, the Asgardian invasion occurred in New Mexico, which is American territory. I don't know what the president thinks of this matter. The American congressman's face darkened. You are going too far. Humph. Do you think I'm afraid of you if you unite? This is impossible. He took a deep breath and was suddenly stunned. Hey, how come there is an extra 100 million US dollars in my unregistered account in Swiss bank? Do I look like someone who would bow down for 100 million US dollars? He calmed down silently, and his face suddenly turned from cloudy to sunny. The Bureau of Divine Stupidity should be strongly supported. I think the president thinks so too. The other congressman breathed a sigh of relief. That's right. It's great that everyone can get paid happily to do things. Why bother to make things awkward? Although you came later and will definitely not get the same treatment as us, it must be no less. Looking at the US dollars that came out of the account and counting the series of zeros behind it, everyone's face was full of smiles, except for the boiled egg. Is the Bureau of Divine Stupidity now on par with SHIELD? Mr. and Madam Congressman, Director Fury, I have something else to do here. I'm going to have a good talk with Thor. I will report to the board of directors at any time as the situation develops. Lao Wang got the benefit, lowered his posture, and hung up the phone. Jane, Daisy, and Eric were stunned. This is a high-end meeting that determines the survival of mankind. Look at who the members of the meeting are. Director of SHIELD, Director of the Schengen Bureau, and 5 bigwigs of the United Nations Security Council. Director Wang, you held such an important meeting in a shabby car, in front of the 3 of us ordinary citizens? Do you have to be so casual? And it's all about billions of dollars. So scary. When the bigwigs were chatting, we didn't even dare to breathe loudly. We were so nervous. You are all scientists from the Science and Technology Department of the Schengen Bureau, and you are also direct participants in the Thor incident. There is no need to hide this from you. Lao Wang explained with a smile. Eric sighed. It seems that we are not. Okay. I have listened to such an important meeting, and I can't leave, even if I want to. Otherwise, what if I'm killed to silence me? Director Wang, you are so treacherous. The car drove to the town quickly. When we arrived at the hotel, Lao Wang opened 3 rooms, one for Jane and Daisy, one for Eric, and one for him and Thor. After a night of tossing and turning, everyone was tired and went to bed. However, just an hour later, there was a knock on the door. Opening the door, Jane appeared in pajamas with wet hair, whispering, I can't sleep. Director Wang, can I talk to you? You know, I'm very interested in myths and legends. It's okay to chat as late as possible. Of course. Throwing the dead Thor into the bathroom, Lao Wang patted the bed and said, please sit down. The two really chatted all night. The next morning, Jane finally couldn't stand Lao Wang's excitement and fell asleep. After covering Jane with the quilt, Lao Wang raised his eyebrows and looked towards the bathroom. After sleeping all night, Thor finally woke up. Chapter 275 Thor, King, you are my brother. Who am I? Where do I come from? Where am I going? Thor opened his eyes. Looking at the unfamiliar environment, the previous scenes emerged in his mind, and he understood. I'm Thor, the Crown Prince of Asgard. I come from Asgard, and I don't know where I'm going. Anyway, I'm in Midgard, Earth. As an Asgardian with a body density 3 times that of an Earthling, I was knocked unconscious by a car. As the god of thunder who controls lightning, I was stunned by an electric shock device, twice. I have experienced the lowest point in my life, and now the only thing I want to do is, hey, what smells so good? Are you awake? A peaceful voice came, and then a wine jar appeared in front of him. The daughter's red wine brewed by Master Chen of Kunlun himself. I have never been willing to drink it, so I'll give it to you. Kunlun, the small extra dimension attached to Midgard. My father seemed to have said that there was a pretty good dragon in Kunlun. 500 years ago, there was a very powerful woman. He fought side by side with the first generation of Iron Fist thousands of years ago. At that time, my father used Mjolnir. Friendly. Thor's eyes lit up, and he picked up the wine jar and poured it into his mouth. After swallowing 20 kilograms of daughter's red wine, Thor wiped his mouth and threw the wine jar to the ground. Good wine. Another jar. Brother, you should go to Shandong or Zhuzhou. The way they drink, break bowls, and break jars is exactly the same. Lao Wang flipped his hand and handed another jar to Thor. Don't break it. This is an antique that is thousands of years old, and I have to return it to her later. If Master Chen knew that the wine jar she gave me was broken, wouldn't he be heartbroken? I don't want to go to Kunlun next time and hear Master Chen crying and her father, Elder Chen, talking. Originally strong, Master Kunlun's body density is far higher than that of ordinary people. The two of them together weigh at least 700 to 800 kilograms. They can't bear it. The Midgardians are so stingy. Thor muttered under his breath, took another sip, and carefully placed the jar of wine on the toilet, commenting carelessly, the wine is not bad, but it's not strong enough. It's a soft, mellow wine for women. It was standard English just now, but now it has become authentic Chinese. The Asgard royal family has a good education. How many foreign languages have you learned, Thor? Looking at the toilet lid that was cracked by the wine jar, Lao Wang sighed and turned out another wine jar. This is strong enough. Drink it. Really? Thor was suspicious. The Midgardians have such poor physical fitness that they fall down when the wind blows, but they still brew strong liquor? Can it knock down women? He took a sip and his eyes lit up instantly. This wine. So strong. So addictive. He held the jar and drank it. There were bursts of roars in his stomach, like thunder. Lao Wang laughed. This is Lei Gong's private collection of wine, or thunder wine that has been struck on the top of the mountain for 300 years, brewed with true energy and thunder. Not to mention ordinary people. Most people in the Kunlun Elders Council can't afford it. Thunder God, Lei Gong. These two people together, they will definitely become friends. Friends who fight and drink whenever they have nothing to do. Wine alone is not enough. After drinking half a jar, Thor drained his water and said, my mortal body makes me extremely weak. I need to eat to replenish my energy. Midgardians, where can I eat? I'm hungry. Let me make a promise first. Don't mash things randomly. You have to pay for it. Lao Wang took Thor to the restaurant downstairs and watched Thor eat more than a dozen hamburgers. He thought, this guy is a pig, right? Well, it's normal. Thor was deprived of his divine power, which means that his body was instantly hollowed out. He was as weak as he could be. Asgardians have a fast metabolism and a strong digestive ability. So much food goes into the stomach and quickly becomes nutrients to replenish the body. As for the part that can't be digested, in less than an hour, Thor went to the toilet 3 times. The whole restaurant looked at him sideways. How could such a strong and young man have kidney deficiency? Several girls who were planning to approach him suddenly felt so sorry and turned their eyes to Lao Wang next to them. Chinese. I haven't tried it yet, so I don't know how it tastes. We've had enough to drink and eat, and I think we should have a good talk. Taking Thor back to the room, Lao Wang said righteously, Thor, son of Odin, crown prince of Asgard, god of thunder in Norse mythology. You broke into the earth without permission. Shouldn't you give me and the people of the earth an explanation? Explanation? What the hell? Midgard is my territory, and there are myths and legends about me on earth, although they have been changed into a mess. Loki actually became my uncle. I was killed by a big snake. Anyway, I came to my backyard for a tour. Okay, I was exiled, and I still have to give you an explanation? Midgardians, are you crazy? Thor looked at Lao Wang as if he was looking at a fool. Who are you? How do you know my identity? Although he is a fool, he is not stupid. It has been hundreds of years since he last came to Earth. There are still people who know him. This matter is not that simple. Thor counted with his fingers. There is a conspiracy. He immediately took a defensive posture and silently summoned the hammer. Hammer? Where is my hammer? With the hammer in hand, I'm not panicking. Now without the hammer, Thor always feels that something is missing and feels a little uneasy. Formally introduce, I'm the director of the Extraterrestrial Threat Strategic Defense Offensive and Multidimensional Strategic Cooperation General Bureau. My last name is Wang. Lao Wang showed his ID and said, of course, this identity doesn't mean anything to you. Well, I'm the contemporary Iron Fist of Kunlun, and a good friend of the Supreme Sorcerer of Kamataj, Ancient One, and the Guardian of the Earth. The previous series of numbers were indeed difficult to remember for Thor, whose IQ was only slightly higher than that of ordinary people, and he really wanted Lao Wang to say it again. When Thor heard the following words, he was stunned. Midgard. When did Earth have wizards? Obviously there were none when he came last time. In his impression, the physique of Earthlings is too poor, and any Asgardian can sweep them away. How can they be wizards with such a poor physique? Whether it is his mother Frigga or his brother Loki, their physique is only slightly worse than his. They are good at close combat, and 3 or 5 Asgardian strongmen can't get close to them. Well, even if there is a wizard, I don't know, I have only been here a few times. There has been one for a long time, and your father Odin even knows the first generation supreme sorcerer Agamotto. Lao Wang said. Agamotto? Thor searched in the ancient memory, slapped his forehead, and stomped his feet. It's him. I still remember, when I was only a few years old, my father often told me, and Loki about his glorious history. When he was still the crown prince, his personality was as fierce as mine. He used Mjolnir to hit people everywhere, and he became friends with some people, and fought side by side, including the first generation Iron Fist, the first generation Black Panther, and a wizard named Agamotto. He seemed to be the son of some ancient god, but he was from Earth. Well, my father seemed to have said that, but I was still young at the time, and didn't listen carefully. Besides, it's normal for my memory to decline after so many years. Thor quickly found an excuse for himself. By the way, the man in front of him was actually Kunlun's contemporary Iron Fist. He aimed his big hand at Lao Wang's chest and hit him hard. Asgard and Kunlun are friends. Odin and your first generation Iron Fist fan Fei are friends. So you and I are also friends. This logic is really invincible. Lao Wang took a punch from Thor and didn't move at all. Okay, we are friends. Since we are friends, we should help each other. Thor's eyes turned. My hammer is missing. You are a local, can you help me find it? Lao Wang. Whoever dares to say that Thor is stupid again, I will be angry with him. He has a very high IQ. If there is an IQ test, he would definitely be a member of Mensa, but he is just too lazy to use it. It is enough to use fists, who needs to use the brain? It is so troublesome. Don't worry. Lao Wang smiled. I know where Thor's hammer is. I will find a car to take you there later. I'm very interested in Asgard and the 9 realms. Can you tell me in detail? I heard that you are invincible in the world. Can you tell me about it? Thor was really anxious. He felt uncomfortable without the hammer, and he wanted to find it and swing it a few times. Moreover, his divine power was taken back by his father, and he could only get it back with the hammer. Now he is so weak that he really feels insecure. But when he heard the second half of Lao Wang's sentence, his attention was instantly diverted. Show off, brag, etc. I'm good at it. At this moment, Thor felt like he was back in Asgard, drinking and bragging with Sif and the 3 warriors. I tell you, I have never met an opponent in my life, except my father, of course. My brother Loki often teases me, and every time I beat him to the ground and beg for mercy, my mother scolded me several times. I heard that Laufey and Surtur are very strong. I have always wanted to fight them, but my father does not allow it. Thor is a true hero, generous, but of course he has the shortcomings of most heroes. Old Wang is still very happy to get along with him. If there is really no chance to interrupt, it is not appropriate. He really wants to brag with Thor about the glorious days of World of Warcraft. Time passed by minute, and Thor shook out all the 1,500 years of history. His understanding of the 9 realms was fully revealed in front of Old Wang. In the afternoon, Miss Jane, who finally woke up, drove and brought a group of people to the Hammer base. Thanks to Hellcat for the 2,000 reward. Why are many books clicked -1? There is a problem. This is not important, and does not affect reading. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.